speed of sound itself and doubling up in mass. Time is speeding up so fast, twice the speed of sound itself and doubling up in mass. Time crept up on me. And doubling up in mass. Time is speeding up so fast, twice the speed of sound itself and doubling up in mass. But time crept up on me, and I couldn't ride the wake. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Time is speeding up so fast, twice the speed of sound itself and doubling up in mass. Time is speeding up so fast, twice the speed of sound itself and doubling up in mass. Time crept up on me, and I couldn't ride the wave. Ah, for heaven's sakes. Time is speeding up so fast, twice the speed of sound itself and doubling up in mass. Time is speeding up so fast, twice the speed of sound itself and doubling up in mass.
Yes, it is. This is the Midnight Ocean Radio Show and Podcast. I am your host, Jeff Norton. Welcome all. Gosh, there is a bad echo in here. I have to say. Something going on. Coming to you live from the Nature Coast in the heart of the great state of Florida. It is Wednesday. I keep on forgetting what day it is. They all run together. Yes, today is Wednesday. But when we end the show, it will be Thursday. It will definitely be Thursday. Let me back this down a little bit. Wow. I gotta tell you, man, my energy's coming back. I'm starting to feel a little better than I was before. I can tell you. When you have such an event as a hurricane or anything like that, it sucks the energy right out of the air. And I am slowly getting back with the program. More so today, we spent a lot of day working on the site. For those that go out to the site, I will let you know that we have made some changes, getting ready for the future. That's right. Got a plan. Got to get ready. So we switched our feed, our live feed, radio feed, over to Spreaker from MixIR. And the reason why we did that was because of the fact that we needed to get ready for a dedicated line between us. And Spreaker offers that. They have a way you don't have to use an interface. You can actually use a dedicated network connection to them and they will refeed. So it's a lot better audio quality. Now, as I work on the system, I will tell you, I'm not happy with the audio quality. I listened to some of the shows finally had some time to go back and do some air checks and everything. And so we are working with Telos. They are a radio manufacturing company. They actually manufacture equipment, professional radio gear for the radio industry. And we will be getting some Telos equipment in here to hopefully help us out. I don't know what it is. It's weird. It seems like a never-ending battle, this audio quality. I don't know. When I used to, like I said, when I normally do a show, we're in a radio studio. There's no external sounds, nothing like that coming through. And I'm hearing a lot of that. And maybe I'm just a little anal when it comes. But, we strive to be the best that we can be. And for those out there in YouTube, just give us a 5x5. Let us know how we sound in the YouTube world, so we know that we are starting out okay as we adjust our sounds. Yep. All right. Thanks, Jeff, out there. And Jeff, if you can you flip over to the site and listen to the live to the Spreaker and let me know how we sound there as well? I'd appreciate it. See, this is the thing, this is not a one-man show. By no stretch of the meaning. This is about a 20-person show. Because all of the listeners, what I'm finding out is our hardcore listeners, they're like family. And they want to see us successful, which is awesome. And yeah, let me talk about success. We hit our 100. That's right. We officially hit our 100 mark. I don't know. I don't think I have any sound effects. I should probably put some clapping together. So we'll just, on YouTube. That's a great feat in YouTube world. That puts us at top 10% of all YouTube feeds. And I think we're going to be a lot better. I think we're definitely going to. Oh, here you go. This is for those out there on the radio side. There we go. We'll do the clap on the radio. They're hearing it there, but us in YouTube land, we don't hear it because it is still two systems. And that's one of the things that we want to do, is that we want to bring back more. How do I say this? We want to bring the quality of the show to more of a radio experience. And we have two systems. We have the system that feeds YouTube, and we have the system that feeds radio. We need to merge those together so that the sound quality is the same on both systems. It'll make my life a lot easier. So like I said, we've been working with Telos and giving them information, telling them where we want to go with the show and what we're doing. And basically, of course, they recommended that they're saying there's no site. All right. So Jeff, if you go to the site, you actually have to push the play button. It's not autoplay. Let me see here. Wow. Let me see if we can echo ourselves. If you go to the site, you actually have to push the play button. It's not autoplay. Oh yeah, we sound good. We sound good. And for all you guys that are out there, it is not an autoplay. You actually have to push the play button to get it to play. So yeah, I can hear it. Actually, I can hear it myself. It's pretty cool technology. It's a great thing. So yeah, so we're upgrading. Yeah. Oh, that's weird. Because I am hitting the play button, and obviously. Thing. So yeah, so we're upgrading. That's really bizarre. That will mess with your head. You do enough of that where you have the play button, and obviously you speak, and then it replays back into the system. But it seems like it's working. I'm sure I will hear it from those that are out there that listen to the show via the player. Another way that you can actually listen to the show, and there's some really cool things that we added to the system today. Number one, we have the chat room going, and that's hooked into the chat with the YouTube chat, which is really cool. The other thing is that we also created a pop-up player, so those that want to listen to the show but don't want to have the browser running the whole time, you can click on that as well, and then that will play in your ear. We also create, and I'm playing with that as I'm telling you guys. So we have the pop-up player, so that way you can actually close your browser, set your phone next to your pillow, and listen. So you'll see it where it says pop-up player and everything. So, we're changes. We're slowly and surely we're going to start acting like we know what we're doing around here. Believe it or not, this is not my first rodeo, but it's like everything else. You have to get used to it. Like I said, in our old studio, we had everything was soundproof. We actually had a dedicated room that was soundproofed. It was lined. Had friends that came over. We double walled the room. In other words, we had 2 walls that we built. The room was incredible. So the audio in that room was so much easier to control. So much easier to control. So we did that, and that was pretty cool. I'm going to publish this right now. So let's see if we can get this chat room running here for you guys who just reported that the chat room is not running on the site. Too many things going on. Remember the good old days where you just showed up, you had your playlist for your hour or whatever you were doing your show, and you just showed up and you did your playlist, you did your cuts, your sweeps, as they would say, and then you went home. Remember those days? Now we got social media, we got YouTube, we got all of those things going on. But the key thing is we need to get these new audio bugs worked out before our very special guest. She's going to be joining us here at the bottom of the hour, McCartney Green. Yep, looking forward to this conversation and everything. She's been visited by some heavenly spirits. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how they helped her transform her life when she was at the bottom of it. I think one of the greatest things I love about doing these shows is not only the guests, but the listeners, talking with you guys on chat, shooting the breeze with you, and everything. No, what I really love is to hear the stories of transformation, of growth. And it's just amazing how if you let life happen, it will resolve itself. It really will. So now I know why I was getting the echo. There we go. Much better. Wasn't the echo. We have a mini split, what they call a mini split air conditioning system in here. And my microphone is picking that up. Oh my gosh, it's going to be just one of those nights, guys. It's going to drive me nuts. So we'll back it down a little bit here. And that should do it. So McCartney Green is going to be joining. She also has a very special gift that she would like to give to all of our listeners. So we will get that posted as well. So I hope your day has been a great day. I will have to say I got a text from someone who I didn't expect to get a text from, especially on this topic, telling that apparently Donald Trump acted presidential today in Philadelphia. I didn't see it. Nope, didn't see it. But I was shocked that I actually got a text from this person telling me that he seemed presidential today. So that was a shocker. Not a shock that he seemed president. You know, look, he's good at what he does. You know, he's very good at what he does. And I'll let you decide what that is. So if you're joining us talking about YouTube, like I said, we're at 101 subscriptions. Yay! We have crossed the apex. There you go, everybody in Spreaker land. You're hearing the claps. You guys in YouTube, you just have to clap inside your head or something. So yes, we have crossed that magical, mythical number. Now it's on to 1,000. You're going to hear me push. And we're growing. We're growing. As we, I'm noticing that some of our shows are getting 600-700 views. And so we are starting to grow as we get out there. We, a couple other things too, I'll let you guys know. We are going to be releasing an iPhone app and also an Android app. So you can just click on your little app, download it from the App Store, and you can click on the app, hear our live shows, and hear all of our past shows as well. It's audio. It's not video, guys. So, yeah, I know. You don't want to stare at me all the time. But you will be able to do that, and they'll be done in about 14 days. I was told Apple takes a while because it's got to be approved. So look forward to those coming here at the end of the month. So you can actually download an Android app or a iPhone app, and you won't have to go through the website and go to YouTube, all that stuff on your mobile device. The other thing is the Midnight Ocean on Facebook. You guys really got to get out there. Tell your friends about us. I'm serious. We're giving, we have 100 shirts that we want to give away 10. We're going to give away 10, but we're not going to do that until we reach 100 midnight listeners. The best way to find us is actually if you go into the search bar of your Facebook and you type in Midnight Listeners, all one word, you'll see us. Ask to join. We got 2 new members this week. Welcome members. But, we're not going to give away the shirts, the 10 of the shirts. Limited edition. We only ordered 100. And we're not going to give those 10 away until we reach 100 listeners. So you got a 1 in 10 chance of winning a shirt. And then when we get done with the shirts, I got some really cool hats that we are going to give away, embroidered. Yeah, fancy schmancy. Talk about hats, you can see I'm wearing the alien hat. Yes, the magical. It sees through the back of my head. Ooh. So I'm wearing that tonight. No reason. No reason. Just felt haven't worn it in a while. So I got that on. And yes, it does prove, as my children will tell you, that there is nothing between my ears and everything. So also follow us. One of the things I am really digging about Twitter is I subscribe to a service that I get to pull some really cool stories. And, I'm not going to just post anything up there. There's some really, really cool, what's interesting to me, might not be interesting to you, but, I hope it is. But we try to post those up there on the site for you guys. And let me give you a couple examples of one that we have. The impossible quantum space engine that breaks laws of physics is about to be tested. Yeah. Quantum engines. The alien signal that wasn't what we learned from the last WOW signal from SETI. See, so these are things that we're posting up on our Facebook. The Cryptology and Paranormal Museum in Linton, North Carolina. I'm definitely gonna have to go see that when I go visit the kids. Strange airwaves, mysterious and spooky unexplained radio broadcasts. There you go. So those are the types of things. And here's one. A dolphin that actually breathes through its mouth, doesn't have a portal or a hole, blowhole. It actually breathes through its mouth. Just all sorts of cool things. Second Dyson star discovered. You don't know what Dyson? That's why you got to join. Got to get out there. Got to join us there at the Midnight Ocean page. Like us, so you guys can get these feeds. And each one of these feeds are hand selected by me. I don't let a computer do them. I go through, I get a list of them, about 100 a day, and I find the ones that I find are interesting, and I post those up there. I post the ones that no one else is posting as well, which I think is also very important. So with that, like I said, we're going to have McCartney Green is going to be joining us. I can't wait for this conversation. And we're going to talk about her experiences with visitation from heavenly bodies. It's going to be interesting. I'm fascinated by this stuff. Yeah. We deal a lot in the dark, in the deep. Let's start talking about the light. There's two sides. There's always two sides. There is a yin and a yang. So this will be a great conversation, and also how it changed her life. And for those that are out there listening, because I know all of us have hard times. We all fall on hard times. Actually, today Sandy and I were talking about that as we were swimming in the pool. Actually, just her and I enjoying the pool today, having a little swim this afternoon, and thinking about how grateful and how truly, truly lucky we are. And by the way, Sandy did remind me of the pool. I owe you guys pictures. We have purchased the dog food and also the cat food, and we're going to drop that off at the shelter, and we will take those pictures and get those out to you. And we're going to spend some time at the vets, and we're going to drop that money in there at the vets. And for those that don't know, we have a little competition, and hey, let's do it. We got more listeners. Let's get this pretty expensive here. So we're going to play keyword bingo. And for those new listeners who don't know what it is, and it only happens during live shows, can't go back and listen to the shows. You have to be in the chat room, is the other thing. So the word of the day is and All right? So don't ding me. Don't ding me for those two words. And we're going to up the ante. We're going to up the score. 25 cents. 25 cents. So when you hear me say, or when you hear me say, not as an example, but during the speech, what you do is you just put a 1 in the chat room. At the end of the show, and we will ask our guest to pick a charity of her choice. And at the end of the show, we will tally up all of those ones and multiply it by 25 cents. And then we will donate that money to our guest's charity of choice. So there you go. So it's buzzword. It's what filler word bingo. The two words are you know and and we will start that now. So it's official. Who knows? If she picks a good enough charity, I might just do it on purpose. But yes, we will make those donations. Sandy reminded me today, we went down and purchased the dog food. We just have to get it over to the shelter. And we have a shelter actually right down the street from us. So that will be cool. And we'll get pictures. You know, she said, you know, we want to be honest and do what we say we're going to do. So she's a good woman. Keeps me in line because I completely forgot, to be honest with you. So that's it. What is in the coffee cup? We have, I know you're going to do this, Timmy Hortons, the best, cheapest coffee you will ever drink. If you're within 500 miles of a Timmy Hortons store, I highly suggest it's well worth the trip. Get yourself a Danish while you're there. Oh, we had a great show. It was great talking with Brother Jeff last night. But yes, it is Timmy Hortons. The best, cheapest coffee you'll ever know. If you're within 500 miles, it's well worth the trip. Make sure you get a Danish. I'm required by contract. No, I don't have it. That's what's really funny. I don't have a contract with Timmy Hortons. Timmy Hortons is the best, cheapest coffee you ever know. If you're within 500 miles, it's worth the trip. Get the Danish. But it's awesome. It's good stuff. Good stuff. And I found out that they actually have, I don't have to go to Canada anymore to get my coffee. I don't have to have it shipped. I've been told that there's a shipment on its way to me. But, wow, we're already running out of time. But we'll get back to that. But when we get back from the break, we're going to bring in our guest, McCartney Green. You're listening to the Midnight Ocean Radio Show and Podcast. And I am your host, Jeff Norton.
This is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network. is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network.
That is right. This is the Midnight Ocean Radio Show and podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us live here every weeknight from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or on the web at www.themidnightocean.com. So, tonight's very special guest we got on the line, Miss McCartney Green. She's going to be joining us. We're going to talk with her. She's the author of 11 books, a speaker, and life transformation coach. She has definitely had several paranormal experiences. She's actually had a very bizarre experience, and we're probably going to get into that. She shared that with me, and we'll see if she'll share it with you guys. Crazy stuff. But the main one is why she became an author, and especially why she wrote her latest book, Messengers from Transcendent Beings. We are not alone. Sometimes, hey, McCartney, how are you?
Hi, Jeff.
Hi. Now, I gotta add. Do I call you McCartney? Do I call you Green?
You can call me anything you want.
Well, but I like to be proper. I'd like to be proper, at least.
Most people call me McCartney.
McCartney. Okay. Is it now? My second question, is that your given name or is that your writer's name?
That is my pen name.
Your pen name. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know because.
Go ahead.
Yeah. You never know because we get guests on here whose families are kind of funny, and like Manu Itarami, and stuff, and from Star Trek fame, and he's telling his family, he's like, yeah, my mom and dad were hippies. So that was it. Oh man. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, it's been. I'm glad that you are here. To be honest with you, it's. I have to say the last week has been very trying, and it is nice. It's nice and it's refreshing to be talking about the light. And
Yes.
Versus the dark, and so I think this is very appropriate, especially for me. I mean, I never. How do I say this? I never really was tapped into the environment like I am now that I live here in Florida. Mm-hmm. And when that hurricane came through, it just wiped me out completely. I mean, it was like I couldn't even speak. I couldn't put two words together. And if you know me long enough, that's near impossible.
Yeah. Well, weather phenomena like that actually do make a void in the energy system of the earth, and so that's why you feel so drained.
Yeah. Oh, it was like, and today we were sitting in the pool, and today was actually the first relaxation day, where where Sandy and I were both just kind of like, and then with the sun, getting re-energized by the sun, and it's crazy. I would never have subscribed to that type of belief system until I started doing these shows and started to do research, had guests like you on and everything. Now it's like it's very critical. I mean, it's very critical that we need to get out into the sun and nature and recharge our batteries.
That's right, you do. And the fact that you and your wife you said you were in the pool and you were kind of counting your blessings.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. That's a great thing to do.
Yep. Yeah, it was because we remodeled our house here, including adding the pool and everything. And we were going through all of the stuff that we had in storage, and we're going through the list and saying, all right, we can donate this, we can get rid of this, we can do all of this. And because there's so many people that are on the west side of us, because we sit about a mile off the coast, but there's so many people between us, in that mile that just got devastated. They it's just unbelievable, the devastation, and that was just a Category 1. So we're going through looking at all the appliances that we had in storage that we were going to sell, and now we're just giving it. We're just saying,
That is awesome.
yeah, come and get it.
Come
and get it. So, well, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about your books and everything. I find, and this is so cliche when they say this, but I find the best place to start is at the beginning. So let's start at the beginning. Where were you at in your life? What was going on to where you first had your first heavenly visitation?
It was a crazy time, and it was actually 22 whole years ago, back in 1994. And I had been married for 20 years. We had 7 children, and my marriage was crumbling, and we were absolutely destitute. I was having to work 3 jobs, and on top of all that, I was sexually assaulted in a Wendy's parking lot. And it just felt like I couldn't go on. I felt like the world would be better off without me. And so I tried to take my own life. That's how bad it was. That's, and the fact that I tried to take my own life and I actually had 7 children is an amazing thing if you actually realize how much I love those children. But in my mind, I had made it to where it would just be better if I wasn't here at all. Better for them, better for everyone. That's how bad I was at the time.
Wow. Yeah, I can't even. I mean, I've been in my life down, and I've been the couch tour and everything, but fortunately there wasn't children involved, and 7 of them. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I mean, I can only imagine the strain and the pressure that you were under. I mean, I definitely can have empathy for that. And I can imagine, because I mean, like I said, I've been myself, but the children were never involved in that. And
that's right. When the children are involved, it just makes it so much harder. Everything is so much harder. And we didn't mean to have 7 children, but I just kept getting pregnant.
Yeah, it's your blessing, right? It's a blessing now.
They are a wonderful blessing.
Yeah.
I have 7 children and 13 grandchildren. And
yes, and I was going to say, wait till the grandchildren start showing up, and then that's when it's really fun. Because I know I got 3. I got 3 grandkids.
They are amazing.
And they're fun. So obviously, and thank God you were not successful. I mean, I just want to say thank God you were not successful.
I want to say that too, and thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I wasn't successful because I didn't know anything about drugs, and I had 2 prescription medicines that I took, and apparently they counteracted each other.
Yeah.
So thank goodness that I was naive in that.
Gotcha. Well, that's, like I said, I'm glad you weren't successful.
Thank you.
There's too many people that are, and unfortunately the world will always be missed. Because I've always said, even, these people, we won't get into the abortion topic, but you never know what is in store for you. You never know what greatness, that we have denied the world and your story. I can tell you there's probably a listener tonight who is in the same situation or is going through the same thing you were going through 22 years ago. And who knows, maybe your message is going to pull them out of that. And I think
that would be one of my missions is to do just that, to help people turn around and realize that all is not lost, and you can actually feel absolute joy.
Sure.
again.
So, all right. So obviously you tried to commit suicide. What transpired? What happened after that? Were you in the hospital when you were visited? How did the visitation
No,
start?
it was a while later. Not a while, maybe a few months. It was around that time, and I can't pinpoint the exact time. I've tried and tried to remember exactly the day, but I think it was warm. But I know that the children were in school because I was alone in the house. I woke up one morning. My husband had already left for work. The children were at school, and I woke up, and there was a man standing at the end of my bed. And I know that that would normally freak people out.
Yeah.
If I was a normal woman, normally I would have been screaming, or especially after what had happened to me earlier.
Absolutely. I would be I woke up with a man standing at my bed, and I moved out 2 days later. I was gone. It was a ghost, but I mean, I wasn't about ready to
Yeah.
stick around. That definitely would have set me up. But obviously, you felt some sense of peace or some kind of.
I did.
Okay.
I did. There was, it was almost a knowing. Well, first he had a light around him, not a bright light, like you see on the movies or something, but there was a light aura surrounding him. And I just had a knowing that this is some sort of heavenly messenger. This person is peaceful and calm, and he was emanating love and kindness. And I felt absolutely no fear at all. I remember thinking, what is this all about? It was like a mild curiosity. It was really very strange the way I handled it. Um, but he was there, and he was real. I have to say, before I opened my eyes, I had a dream the night before, and it was one of those long epic dreams, like you think, wow, I need to write that down. That was really good. And I was sitting there contemplating that dream with my eyes closed, and then finally I opened my eyes, and he was standing there.
Wow.
And he said a lot of things to me. And unfortunately, a lot of those things I can't remember what he said, but I do remember the main thing that he said. He told me to write, and at that point in my life, I had never written anything. I mean, except a letter maybe, but never written anything. And I was actually quite irreverent. I said, write what? And he smiled, and he said, write your life, write love, and begin immediately. And it was really strange the way I took his information, and I did begin to write, but I took what happened, the fact that this personage had appeared to me, and I pushed it away into the recesses of my mind to think about another day. But after he told me to write, the light sort of, the only way I can say it is it almost like he imploded. The light sort of gathered around him, and he got smaller and smaller and smaller until he disappeared.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that just must have been incredible. I can't, it's weird because I've had guests like dream interpreters, and they talk about how dreams are messages from God, and how he uses dreams or your dream state, your that unconscious state, to communicate with you and to give you suggestions and to test you and everything. And I absolutely 100% believe that. Not saying I don't believe what you're saying, but I can't imagine that you have the physical presence, or that you had a physical presence standing in front of you. Now, I read the Bible, and I know that God sends messengers all the time back in the day to those people that need it. I mean, I can't. I mean, what was going through your mind when you're looking at this? I know you said you were peaceful, but you have to. I mean, were you like, do I have my drugs mixed up, or am I? What's going on? I mean, what was going through your mind?
Absolutely, I was. First of all, I didn't take any drugs. I was into being very healthy at the time.
Sure.
That's one thing I wanted to mention. And the other thing is, I'm also not a religious fanatic. I everything was so bad in my life. I was at the point of being, not even sure if I even believed in God. I was almost atheist or agnostic. I
Sure.
just, so it wasn't that I was a religious being at all. But there I said,
Well, it's all right because
Oh,
as
I
long
can
as
say-
I don't say the word, I don't know if you heard. We have
I did.
filler word bingo. As long as I don't say the word, you can
Okay.
say it all you want to, and
It made
everything.
me
But as
laugh
long as
when I
I
heard you
don't
say
say it,
that.
yeah. As long as I don't say it. If I say it, then I have to write a check.
Yes. Well, I'm not supposed to say it either.
I
I'm a
know.
Toastmaster.
You're a
and I'm
Toastmaster,
not supposed
I
to
know.
say or or so.
Yep. See, and I'm not even gonna say it as an example of what not to say because the way that we play the game, here's all of the people in chat who hear it. They put a 1 there, and then we add up. So if there's 50 people in chat or whatever, thank God there's only 5 that are registered. But if they all put 1, I mean, every time I say it, it's times 5. So it gets expensive pretty quick.
Yes.
And by the way,
awesome.
at the end of the thing, I'm going to ask you for a charity, and you pick the charity, and that's who we donate the money to.
Okay.
So
That sounds great.
so going back, but I won't correct you on. I'm not. So I can't. I'm not even going to say it because they'll light it up. They'll light the chat room up the minute I do. They're waiting. They got their fingers pressed, ready to press 1.
They have their fingers hovering over the keys.
They're waiting for me to make my mistake. So
That's funny. That's funny. I forgot where I was.
well, we were talking. The fact that you weren't obviously on any kind of drugs, any kind of psychedelics. You weren't a religious person to begin with, but I'm a firm believer that Jesus didn't come down here for the saintly. He speaks to the unsaintly because there's clear indication he goes to where the betrotten and the where they live. He doesn't hang out with a bunch of Christians when he came.
Right.
He hangs out with the prisoners, with the undesirables and everything. So I believe that's yeah. Why would he sit around and hang out with a bunch of people that already have their souls saved? But that's a different story for a different time. so yeah. No, I get it. I
Exactly.
Yeah.
I even gave a talk at my Toastmasters one time. And I began the talk with, what would you do if God or one of his angels actually appeared to you? Would you announce it to the world or would you hide it away? And surprisingly, I hid it away. And why do you think I did that? Because people will think I'm crazy. That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I pushed it away as almost as being inconsequential. Okay, I'll write because somebody took the time to come down here and tell me to write, but I'm not going to tell anybody else about that. And I did tell my family, but I didn't tell anyone else.
Yeah.
Not for 22 years.
So it took you 22 years to actually come out and say.
Yes. Well, a lot of things happened over those 22 years. And in 2008, I had some amazing things happen and I became much more spiritual. And I really had a big awakening. But I had already written most of 8 of my books by then. But then I became more spiritual, and still, I must be a really slow learner, because still 2008 is 8 years ago. And my first husband passed away in 2013, and it was after he passed away that I became more diligent in my meditation and my prayers and my really reaching for spirituality. And when I became much more diligent, that is when finally I had contact again.
Gotcha. So what was this contact like? Was it the same? Was it different? Was it a different individual or a different presence? Would it,
There's actually a few. Excuse me. There's actually a few. This time, well, let me retract that. Let me go back and say, in 2008, during the time that I said I had a few spiritual things happen to me, I actually was walking in the park one day, getting some exercise, and and now this is going to sound really crazy again, but I had someone speak to me, like inside my head. I could hear the words almost as if he was standing next to me. And this time, the last time, I have since discovered who these people are, but this time, the one in the park, he said his name was Jesus. And like I said, I am not a Jesus freak. And I was, I was like, but I could feel him. And I never understood people saying to get down on your knees and worship. I didn't ever understand that. But I felt so much love and awe coming through as I was walking that I wanted to sink down to my knees. I had tears running down my face.
Wow.
And he didn't tell me very much except that I needed to forgive myself for my past mistakes. He told me that nothing was as it seemed, and that there's a lot of disinformation in the world, but it doesn't matter, because as long as we have love and light in our hearts, it's going to all work out. And so I had that happen, and I became an observer. I became aware. I began to watch for other things. And when I did that, the signs are all around us. So in 2013, after my first husband passed away, and then it actually was 2 years later of me being a diligent meditation, prayer, and light puller, that I heard the voice again. And again, it was as I was walking, but this time I was walking my dogs. And as I was walking along, I had written eight books by then, and I said, why? One of my readers had contacted me on Facebook and asked me if I ever intended to write any more about this family that I'd written about, and they were fiction novels. And I told her, I don't know, we'll see. I'd have to make them live forever. They're getting older. And she said, well, it'd be fine with me if they live forever. So as I'm walking, I started directing my thoughts heavenward. I do this little walking meditation. And I said, why should I even write anymore? Why would some heavenly messenger come and speak to me and tell me to write when nothing is ever really going to come of my book? Sure, I've had a few good reviews and a couple hundred people or a couple thousand, I don't even know how many, have read the books, but nothing really big is coming of it. I don't understand. Why would you come and tell me that? And how can I continue to write about this family? And suddenly, just like it did that day in the park, the voice came into my head, but this one was a little bit different. It wasn't Jesus this time. And he said, write Eric's memoirs as if he was a real person. Now, Eric is the hero that is the constant in my fiction series. And I based him on the heavenly messenger that I saw that day back in 1994. And he's like the handsome hero of all the fiction novels.
Sure.
And they said, write his memoirs. And I said, and again, I was very irreverent. I don't know what's up with me, but instead of saying, yes, sir, I said, but how could I do that? I'd be writing the memoirs of a fictional character, and that doesn't seem very honest to me, and I'm very big about honesty. And the answer came, of course, you must always have integrity. So you will write his memoirs as an allegory. Jesus taught in parables, and that's the best way to teach. And you will write Eric's memoirs as an allegory, and you will do an allegorical memoir with his wisdom coming through to teach us what's going on in life. And I said, I argued, but he's fictional. And people will think I'm trying to pull a fast one. And he said, is he fictional? For you know he's real. And I know He is because I am He. And I realized finally it was my same guy, the same one that had visited me that day in my bedroom in 1994. And something that I haven't told you yet is I didn't describe him to you.
Yeah, let's do that. We actually have music coming up, which tells us that we're at the top of the hour.
Yes.
So we'll take our break, and when we get back, because that's the next thing I want to ask you, description. So we'll take our break, and when we get back, we will talk about Eric. So you're listening to the Midnight Ocean radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. Join us on the web at www.themidnightocean.com. We are talking with author, life coach, McCartney Green. We will definitely get a link to all of her books on her author's page. But when we get back, we're going to learn more about her heavenly visitor.
This is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network.
welcome. You're listening to the Midnight Ocean radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us here every Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or on the web at www.themidnightocean.com. And today we have a very special guest, McCartney Green, joining us and talking about her experiences with heavenly bodies, her conversations with Jesus. Yep, that's amazing in itself. and now we're going to learn a little bit more about Eric. Right? It's Eric is his name, correct?
Yes, it's Eric.
Eric.
Grandmaster Eric Kino.
Grandmaster Eric. So that's his full name, Grandmaster Eric Kino, or is that his fictional name?
That's his fictional name.
Okay.
That's just the name that I gave him in my fiction series, and that's
Gotcha.
what I call him.
Now, does he have a biblical name, or do you want to save that for a little bit later?
No, he hasn't given me his name. But he has told me who he is. Oh. He has told me that he is a member of my eternal family.
Oh. So now I have to ask, have you gone to one of those sites and, started to look at your family, your lineage?
Say that one more time.
Well, have you gone to like one of the Ancestry.com sites and see if there was an Eric in the past in your family?
No, I haven't. I just, I just thought that was something I came up with off the top of my head, but that's really, really a good idea, Jeff. To do a little research and see.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't because, I would think, this is the thing, is I would think if I can tell you, a figure appeared in front of me, and I know that it wasn't a malevolent person. I know it wasn't. I know the individual was not malevolent in any nature. He actually had a very sad face, but it still rocked me, to the core. So, like I said, I left everything that I couldn't carry, and moved. I mean, literally everything that fit in the back of my little Ranger pickup truck was gone with me. Everything else stayed. I called my family. I said, "Come and get the air conditioners. Come and get whatever you want." But I'm leaving, and that's exactly what happened. But I could see that if it was Grandma there or someone who I knew, who I recognized, I wouldn't be running for the hills. But this is an individual that you've never seen before, so it's kind of it's not bizarre, but it is kind of strange because this is a stranger to you, but yet he was of peace.
Oh, absolutely. I was at peace and I felt very calm, but he's not a stranger. I just can't remember him. Oh. We all have eternal families, and we even contract when we come to Earth because we have to choose. We're not just born here against our will. Mm-hmm. We choose to come here. Mm-hmm. We just don't remember the choice. And sometimes we contract to do certain things. And this heavenly transcendent being that is a member of my eternal family, and I made a deal that he would, if I don't get my act together and do what I wanted, as I was supposed to do when I came here, he was going to come down here and knock me upside the head. And pretty much when he appeared to me, that's what it did. It knocked me upside the head. But like I say, I'm a slow learner. But finally, 22 years later, I'm starting to do what I'm supposed to do.
I mean, that's fine because when I saw voices or heard voices when I was younger, and I went and got help, which I thought was help. And it was, I mean, that's a natural reaction. I don't think anybody in the same situation that you were in would jump right onto the bandwagon right away. and,
Right.
and I think they would be like, what's going on with me? Is this after effect of something? Am I having a seizure? Am I having a stroke? Or, what's going, am I having a nervous breakdown? I think those are all normal things. What I do find fascinating, and I think it shows the compassion of Jesus, is that he's got time, and he'll wait until you're ready, however long that may
does.
take.
That's right.
And that's what I try to tell people all the time when I talk to them. It's like, but you don't know how much time you have, so you don't know when the message you get might be your last message. And
That's right.
a great rabbi once told me, said, the problem with death is you no longer have knees that you can pray on and ask for forgiveness. That came from a rabbi, friend of mine. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
he said that's the problem with death. So don't wait, because you never know. Because when you're to ask for forgiveness or redemption, because
The forgiveness comes easy too.
yeah,
It's just
ask.
for us comes easy. It's forgiving ourselves that where we wallow in the pain.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know.
So right before we went on a break, you were going to give us a description. So go tell. Let's.
Oh, yes. I thought. Well, since I wrote 8 very sexy novels about Eric Keno, I thought you should know what he looked like, and I based what he looked like on the man that appeared to me. I think of him as a heavenly messenger or a transcendent being. And so you would picture someone in, white robes or something like that, but that's not how he appeared at all. He was a Native American. He had long black hair, and he was bare chested, and he had what looked like a blanket, maybe a Navajo type blanket or something like that, wrapped around his waist. So not at all how you would picture a heavenly messenger appear to you, but that's how he appeared to me. And I say Native American, it could have been Hawaiian, it could have been Indian, Indian.
Yeah.
But
He wasn't the classic geo Christian version of Jesus, or the white skinned version.
No,
he was obviously of dark skin.
Yeah, a little bit, a bronze colored tan skin, not real dark, not real light, but I could tell he was a Native American of some kind.
Sure.
Sure. And I don't, and I think he is different than Jesus. He's not like I said, I wasn't very religious, and so I didn't think this is Jesus. It never even crossed my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I did know that he was heavenly, and that he was full of love and peace, and he was very calm and kind. It's like I could feel his compassion towards me, like he understood everything I was going through.
Gotcha. No, I get it. I've never, like I said, I've never had the physical. Oh, there's one. There's $1 right there. I never had the physical I can't pronounce it. Gosh, I'm lost for words. Manifestation. There you go. I've never had that. I had, I've had the tugs and the pulls, and so who you're talking to, and I don't know if you listen to the old shows. I did not want to do radio. I did not want to come back. I was content in writing software and doing that.
But you're so good at it.
Well, but what's here you go. But, and I know I get in trouble for this all the time. People yell at me, like, well, you got your guess. But I think we have a connection here, because I had the same experience. Within a span of 2 weeks, I had a friend call me, said, look, you got to get back on the air. I had another friend who said, look, I have equipment, I'll send it to you. This is out of the blue. Mm-hmm. And then I had a dream that led me to that. And then basically I had a message that was it was kind of like the nagging in the back, nah, 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 you're going to do it, you're going to do it, you're going to do it. And it was just doing it until I gave up and said, yeah, okay, I will do it. And it was like, and then it was like, cool. And this is how you're going to do it. And this is what you're going to do. And I was shocked because my background has always been politics, hardcore politics. And the voice was like, no, don't do that. That's a waste of your time. That's a waste of your talent. We have a message. There are so many other things you can do. And it was funny because Art Bell came back on the air, and I'm a huge Art Bell fan. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I can't compete against him. I mean, you're talking about Art Bell, and the voice in my head said, who said this was a competition? He's like,
exactly.
He's like, who told you that you were going to compete with anybody? I told you that you're going to get on the air and you're going to do these shows, and these are the type of shows. And then of course it was like, well, where am I going to get guests? How am I going to do a 4-hour show every night with a different guest? And he was like, really? You're going to ask me that question? And I mean, these are the conversations I had in internally in my head. And it was amazing because here we are, we're in month number 2. We've had a guest every night. We're booking. It's kind of like, don't sweat the small stuff. I'll take care of it. And then a lot of people I get criticized are like, well, why would your voice want you to, if this is holy in nature or whatever, want you to do shows on demonic or exorcism or possession or Nibiru or Planet X and stuff? It's like, because there's so much that needs to be explained to people. Yes, that's why. Yes. There's a whole nother, and I think that's the connection you and I have. There is a whole nother realm out there. We have been fed so much. And in the short 2 weeks, I've learned that I believe the Big Bang Theory is false. I believe, these are things that core concepts that have been completely blown up. I believe that people are visited, like you, are visited by higher energy, higher dimensional beings. Call them whatever you want to call them, but I believe that, people get visited. I believe people get messages through their dreams, through their life experiences. I mean, it's just, this is opened up. It's funny because Brad Olson, who wrote the Eccentric series, the Esoteric series, and one of his themes when you talk with Brad, you make it very clear. He said that this knowledge that people like us gain is the knowledge that certain individuals have, and they keep it all to themselves, and they don't share it with other people. And what's really crazy is every one of my guests, no matter who they are, no matter what the topic, go back and listen. This is a challenge for those people that are out there on YouTube and those people who are listening right now on the radio. Go back to, every one of our shows are free and they're open to the archive. There is always the word love, always is in every one of the conversations. To the point that I had an artist on the show, an indie artist, and he wrote a song called Be Love. And that's my main theme song now. I had another one written for, Kevin McLeod wrote one for us. But it's just so appropriate because you said it in this show last night. It was said, and the night before, even when we were talking about Planet Nibiru and Planet X, it was all about love. It was all about transcending, and it was just incredible. Now I'm done with my rant. I'm gonna get yelled at. I'm gonna tell you. I have people that say that people don't listen to your show, Jeff. They listen to you. They listen because you're guests. You're just kind of there. So shut up. So I'll be quiet and let's continue.
Well, but what you had to say was so important because you made the distinction that there's light and there is dark.
Yes.
And I have to acknowledge that. And there are some people who they call themselves light workers, but they don't acknowledge the dark. But the dark is there, and you have to acknowledge it so that you know how to shield yourself from it and
Correct.
protect others from it.
Well, have you been visited by the dark?
Yes.
Okay.
I call it attacks.
Sure.
But yes, anytime someone like you or I or all these other people that we're talking about, anytime there's a light in the world, the dark forces gather to put it out.
Mm-hmm.
They do not want that light to shine. They do not want us to teach people. And they will try to silence us. And they do. They come. I had a vision just a few weeks ago. I get now. I never did get to, but I get visions. I have dreams. I have lots of communication now. But one of the visions I had, it was, and I got excited. Let me calm down. One of the visions that I had was from the dark forces.
Okay.
And I can tell when I'm going to get a vision from my peeps. I call them my peeps. I have a really good feeling. I have a vibration move through me, but the same vibration moves through me when I get a vision from the dark forces. But I can tell the difference. I can discern. It's a much sicker feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And the vision that they sent me was a taunt. It showed all these little dark, almost cartoon figures, little dark demon-looking figures. They were running around through the streets of the earth, just taking over buildings and knocking over cars. It looked like something out of a zombie movie or something, where the zombies just take over and just cover everything. And these dark forces were covering everything, and they were eating innocent things, innocent children and animals. And it was a taunt. It was an absolute taunt, and it was. And the very last thing it showed me was it killing me, and I thought enough is enough, and I pulled light, and that's just a little saying that I use. I pulled light and I defeated it. I got rid of the vision, but it was just a taunt. But they're there, and they come after anyone who would try to add some love and light to the world.
Yeah. Yeah, we call them trolls.
Yeah.
We've been fortunate. I mean, they show up every once in a while, but it's amazing because I have listeners who jump in there pretty quick, and these are people, and I'll tell you that my listeners range from the hardcore militia all the way down to the housewife. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing that I look at my demographic, and we have such a broad demographic, and because I think the message is for everybody. It's not a limited message that we have to share. Our shows are not just limited to a conservative, to a liberal, to a libertarian, to a Republican, to a Democrat, or whatever. It encompasses all. It's a message for all people.
It is, because the paranormal covers is such a huge, broad subject.
Yeah, I don't think ghosts go, well, you're a bleeding heart liberal, I'm not going to visit you, or you're an ultra conservative Christian. Right. I'm not gonna. I don't think that they, or Satan. Actually, I think Satan will probably say, "Well, yeah, you are. So let's go." It does. And aliens, I'm sure they don't discriminate either. And Bigfoot doesn't really care. He just wants to be left alone. Right. He's just playing. He's been playing hide and seek for a couple thousand years, and he's the champion of it. So that's. But
in one of my communications, speaking of aliens, in one of my communications, I asked, so are there really spaceships out there circling the earth? And it was almost a laugh, saying, oh yes. That was my answer. Oh yes.
That's the next question. This is the other thing too, is I've had a couple guests who are experts, and I've had a couple listeners who are very. How do you know that you're not actually being communicated by an alien force or by a transdimensional? individual?
I am being communicated by a alien or transdimensional.
Oh,
Because, and I say that because there are some spirits who are born on this earth who didn't originate here on this earth, and there are some who do, and we all, that's the whole thing, is you can't generalize. You can't say all aliens are bad, all aliens are this, all, aliens could never be a heavenly messenger. The aliens are creations of our source, God, the source of life.
mm-hmm.
They're all created by him.
Yeah.
We're all in this together. And some of us, you've heard of people say, I'm from the Pleiades system, or I'm from this, or I'm from that. And that's not where I'm from, but everybody came here to this earth for a reason. Some from very far away, some who began their life here. And so do I think I'm being communicated? All I can say is, you've heard the verse in the Bible that says, by their works you shall know them.
Mm-hmm.
If their works are of light and love and goodness and kindness and compassion, and that has to include love and freedom. If it doesn't include freedom, you can't have love without freedom. If you say, I love you so much, I'm going to keep you in this little golden cage, then that's not real love.
Yeah.
So it has to have love and freedom. Those are the two absolutes that must be. Then you know that they are of the light, that they are God's workers, helpers. Members of my family happen to be helping out in that realm. Members of your family probably are too. And you probably contracted to come down here and do this radio and touch as many people's lives as you could. I'm just saying, I'm generalizing, and I have no way of knowing that.
Yeah.
That's just throwing it out there. But so I know, because of my spiritual connection, when I'm being attacked by dark forces, when I'm trying to be tricked by dark forces, and they are tricky, and when I'm being communicated by, remember, the transcendent beings that I'm used to being communicated with.
Sure. And
a lot of it is by their message and by the feeling I get and the vibration that moves through my body. You can tell.
Gotcha. So when you have the light, you have Eric who shows up. Have you ever had a physical I can't say it's the word. It's the word of the day. Yeah, manifestation. Have you ever had a physical appearance? There you go. A physical appearance of a dark entity?
I think I have, but not where I recognize, where they just came right up to me. They're sneaky. I've woken in the middle of the night and saw what looked like a giant spider hovering over me, a giant black spider hovering over me. It was really, the more I looked at it, it was just a dark mass. And it took me quite a bit of prayer and meditation and pulling light to get rid of it. And it came back a lot until I got stronger.
Yeah.
I've had, where you feel the weight on the bed, and you know that someone just came in and got in bed, but my husband is still out in the living room. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
mostly I can tell the dark forces, they have collateral damage. If I'm protecting myself with shields and they come after me, it can hurt someone close to me, or someone suddenly someone who just said, oh, I just love what you're doing, I want to help you, and all of a sudden their house burns in a fire or something like that. Those things happen.
Wow. Yeah, I've never had that experience. For me, and we're doing more and more research on it, there's, people with sleep apnea. There's a series or a thing called Nightmares. It's a documentary. And one of the things that I experience quite a bit, about 2 to 3 times a week, is that heavy weight, that pressure, something holding me down in bed in the morning when I get up. So with that, we're going to take another quick break. We are speaking with McCartney Green, and we are getting into heavenly bodies. We'll keep it upbeat here, guys. We're not going to dwell in the dark that much, but like everything, they do go hand in hand. And it's very important that you understand that those people that walk in the light are constantly attacked by the dark because they don't want the message to get out there. But you're listening to the Midnight Ocean radio show and podcast, and we have a message for you every night if you join us from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. or on the web at www.themidnightocean.com.
This is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network. This is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network.
There you go. Yes. This is the Midnight Ocean. We are coming at the bottom of the hour. It's amazing how time flies when you're having a great conversation. And tonight we are speaking with our guest, a very special guest, McCartney Green, has joined us from what state are you in? Do you want to tell that information?
That's fine. I'm from Georgia.
You're from Georgia? Oh, okay. Yeah,
I'm surprised you didn't catch my accent.
Well, I knew you had. I was thinking either Georgia or Louisiana.
Oh.
So I was thinking. So you're right below us. So did you get part of that storm? Did you get any of the storm that came through us? That came through Florida?
Actually, no. We got just a little bit of rain. I'm just south of Atlanta, and we got just a little bit of rain, and then like the storm pulled all the humidity away from us, and we've had big blue skies and low humidity ever since.
Wow. Yeah, we've had very high humidity, about 98%. So it's been pretty brutal for the last couple of days. But thank God for air conditioning. That's all. That definitely was a godsend. So I don't want to dwell too much on the dark. I think but I think it is important that people out there understand that there is a constant attack on those who live in the light. There you go. There's another couple bucks there for a charity of your choice. And you remember, you gotta, before we leave, you gotta tell us what your charity is.
I will.
And everything that you want us to donate to. But I do think it is important because a lot of people. It is so easy when challenged. I know for me to turn the other way and to say, I'm not going to do this. But like I said, the voice in my head was like that little kid. No, until I finally said, put my hands up to my head and said, okay, I'll do it. But I did say, but you're running the show. I'm just right. The vessel. I'm just the guy that's talking. You're gonna run the show. You're gonna tell me what to say, what to do, and it's amazing. It's a great relationship. It's the best business partnership I've ever had.
Absolutely.
That I ever had.
Yes.
So, so going back to so how often do you see Eric now?
Well, I don't see him, but I do hear him and speak with him, and I have dreams with him, and mostly it seems like we do a lot of talking when I'm in a meditative state, either regular meditation or my walking meditations. I think my walking meditations are more effective because I think the walking puts me into a deeper meditative state. I know it sounds crazy because my body's moving, but I think it does put me in a great vibration, and that's when I get a lot of my communication.
I mean, I can see that. Nature has an energy of itself, so you absorb that energy, and I didn't realize it because I'm a type of guy that would sit in a studio all day long, 8-9 hours a day, and never go outside. And today was like, wow. Sitting under the sun, and I felt like a solar panel. I was just getting recharged, and it was just utterly amazing. Sitting in the water, and we have a saltwater pool, not a normal chlorine pool. So I think it's more back to that, and that I highly recommend it to anybody that can do it. The best investment that we've ever made was putting that pool in. Especially down here. I don't know about up north, but then you go to the chlorine pools and stuff, and it's just not the same. But when you're sitting in salt water, natural earth salt water, and you're under the sun, it is definitely energizing. There's no doubt about it.
It is.
And probably the same with you, with walking through nature, you absorb.
Absolutely, walking through nature, and I used to back in my hippie days. I was a barefoot girl all the time, but I love walking in the woods. I love just being outside in the sunshine, and my children make fun of me because they think I'm just a little flower child, because I have flower gardens all over my yard. I just plant flowers, and if a plant dies, I might shed some tears over it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I feel very much at one with the earth. I really do.
That's cool. That's cool. So what is Eric telling you these days?
Well, first, once he got me started on the book, one of the main things he directed me and was to look into public speaking, which I love to do. And I was doing research for a few businesses, trying to figure out what I could do to become a public speaker. And I came across a business that would really help me, in this career choice. But it was very, very expensive to get into this business that I wanted to get into. It was way over my pay scale.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, okay, well, that's fine. Like you said, I did let him direct me. I've been letting God I let go, and just whatever will be, will be. I will not stress. This is what you want me to do, so I know that you will not abandon me, and I just let go and see what happens, see what, comes forth. So I was on this business website, and I thought, well, there's no way I could join, but I'll just peruse the website. There's lots of free information, lots of good stuff here. So I was reading it through, and doing that put me in touch with the president of this company. Got a hold of me and said, can I give you a phone call? And I said, sure, but I knew what they were going to do. They were going to try to talk me into joining their business, and I just didn't have the money, but I said, sure, anyway.
Sure.
So I waited for the call, and she calls me. And she asked me, why I wanted to get into the business. And I started to tell her a little bit. This is one of the few people I began to tell about my heavenly messenger visiting me. I began to tell her about that and about the writing of this book that I was in the middle of. And she says, wait. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. And I thought, oh, am I not speaking loud enough? She goes, oh, no, I can't hear you because somebody is yelling in my ear. And I said, excuse me? And she says, somebody is yelling in my ear to give you a free membership to my business. And she said, hold on just a minute. And she puts me on hold for a second, and she comes back and she goes, okay, I've just made you a member of our business organization for free. She goes, because someone was yelling in my ear to do that. And believe me, we do not give away memberships ever. If we give them away, if someone can't afford us, then we just figure it's not their time to be associated with us. We do not give our memberships away. But the moment I made you a full member, the yelling in my ear stopped. And she goes, I don't know who your angels are, but they're working very hard on your behalf.
Wow.
So this blew me away, because it's one thing for me to hear the voices in my head, but it's another thing for a complete stranger to hear voices in her head about me. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense.
It blew me away. It was like such a validation of everything that I was going through. It was such huge validation. And I was grateful immediately that this woman was going to let me be a member of her business organization. And then I did just the opposite of what I knew I shouldn't do. And that is, I began to stress, oh, well, how am I going to do this in your business? And how am I going to do that in your business? And oh, and I don't know how to do that. And the voice came to me, Eric came to me immediately, and he said, let go. First and foremost, write the book. And writing the book was a big communication with him, because I refused to just write the book from my own head. I knew this was something special, and I would meditate and sit down in front of the computer, and if nothing came, I did not write. I waited until I heard his direction and his voice coming through, and I wrote what he told me to write, pretty much. I won't say it's channeled, but the words flowed when he was directing me.
Sure. I get it. I mean, there's times where I look back on the show and say, that's not me talking. You know, these are, these are, that's not something that I would think of right off the bat. That's not that's not in my vocabulary. That's not in my, yeah, I mean, no, it is. I get it. I'm with you. I understand wholeheartedly what it feels like, and it's an amazing feeling, you know, just to as they would say, you know, let go, let God, right?
Yes.
Just let them, you know, but that doesn't mean take your hands off the wheel.
Right.
You know, you still got to have your.
You still have to do the action.
Yeah, that's right. You still have to do the work. That does not mean take your hands off the wheel. You still have to drive, and you still have to do everything that you have to do, or you'll end up in the proverbial ditch. I get so many people that think, you know, I'm just going to sit back and God's going to take care of me, and I remember the flood story. A buddy of mine, a Jewish rabbi. I spent a lot of time with Lubavitch in New York, studying Hebrew and learning Aramaic and everything. And it was a great time because there were some great philosophers there. And one of the rabbis that I worked with, we were talking about messages from God. And he said, think of it this way, you know, the flood waters are coming. And they knock on TV and they say, hey, look, your house is going to get flooded. You need to move. You need to evacuate. But you decide you're going to stay. You know, and then the flood waters are at your door, and you're sitting there, and they show up in the boat and they want to take you. And you're like, no, I'm going to stay. You know, God will protect me because He's there. He's there to protect me. And then next thing you know, you're sitting on your roof and the helicopter comes by and you're looking at it and you're like, well, the flood waters aren't going to get much higher. You know, God's going to protect me. He's going to take care of me. And the last thing you know, you drown, and then you go see God. You're like, God, what? You know, Jesus, what happened? He goes, look. He goes, I sent you a TV show, I sent you a boat, and I sent you a helicopter. What else did you want me to give you?
Exactly.
And so, I mean, these messages, you just have to be in tune. It's all about just being ready. I think the key is that you have to say, look, thy will, you know, be done. In other words, I'm just a vessel. You tell me what you want me to do, and I'm going to listen to you. Right. I think that's the key.
Yes, what you said is, you said thy will be done, but really what you're saying is you have to, when we say let go, that doesn't mean let go of doing anything. It means let go of the worry and stress inside your heart, because that is a dark thing.
Yep.
And that gives a crack. So as soon as you let go of the stress and trust, and just trust, you can feel your whole body relax when you do that. When you just let go and okay, everything's going to be cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And one of the messages I got is, do you think that we would lead you this far and then abandon you? Let go. You know, just write the book.
Just write the book. Just do it. Well, I mean, it's like this. I mean, when you go over and you flip a light switch on, what do you expect? You expect the light to come on.
Exactly.
We inherently all believe that light, when we flip that light switch, the light's going to come on. So that's the same faith that we need to have in our Creator or our, you know, whoever's guiding you. Is that you got to have that same faith that when you ask for the help, they're going to be there for you. But there's a part of it too, is you got to have the faith that they're going to be there, because you know, without faith, it's dead. I mean,
you have to believe. You have to actually know. I mean, that's part of my message. Is I want people to know that we're really not alone, and it's so hard for us. I mean, you believe in God, right? And other people believe in God, and they say they do, and I say I do. But when He actually appears to you or speaks to you, you almost want to deny it. But it's real. I keep telling people, no, this is real. It's real. So when somebody dies, or when this happens or when that happens, don't fret so much, because this is real. It's not just a story we're making up and say have faith in. It's actually real.
Yep. And I think that's the message of joy. as you put it.
Absolutely.
Is that once you get to that realization.
I found in writing the book that I got to the last chapter, and I realized as I was writing the book that he had been leading me this whole way to a formula to live in absolute joy no matter what your circumstances. I call it joy for no reason.
Mhm.
Not joy because you just got a sweet new job, or joy because you won the lottery, but joy for no reason. But it really is a reason. It's joy because you are so spiritually aligned and spiritually connected that you see things from God's perspective rather than from your own. And when you see it from his perspective, all your troubles just melt away. The burdens are gone.
Yeah.
And that's how you could be happy no matter what.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think a lot of people look at the cars and the jets and the fancy hotels and the clothes and the watches and stuff. They're like, well, that's what will give me joy, and that's the work of the dark. I mean, that's not the work of the light. It's a completely different that's joy in things.
Mm-hmm. And you can be happy for those things and grateful for those things, but they shouldn't be what causes you to feel joy in your heart. The joy is when you just had everything taken away from you and you still feel joy because of that connection, that alignment that you have.
Yep. And I had to face that. I mean, my granddaughter, she's my buddy, and unfortunately she moved, and that was really hard for me. And I instead of being bitter and angry, what I needed to do is look at the time that I did get to spend with her while she was here and the time that we did have, and then say, well, this is what's best for them. Not what's best for me, but this is what's best for them. And they seem to be happy where they moved and everything, and turn it that way.
And you had to let go, didn't you? You had to let go of that need that you felt like you needed her.
Yeah, you had to. Well, like I said, she's my little buddy. It was funny because I asked everybody, because she'd always be like, "Old man, Papa Jeff, why are you picking on me?" She would you're aggravating. Old man, Papa Jeff, you're always aggravating me. And it's funny. So I asked her. I said, "Well, who am I? When you leave, who am I going to aggravate?" And she looked at Sandy. She's like, "Nana." She's like, "You're going to aggravate Nana?" so it's just, and I wish everybody can get to that point, because it is an awesome. There's another one, by the way. It is an awesome feeling, and I wish that if everybody talks about, I wish this is my gift to you. My gift to anybody that's out there is joy, I think, or be love. That would be my gift to you, is that when you can experience that and go through the world, and because there's darkness everywhere, and be that light, it's amazing. It is godlike at its core, and you affect people. You really do. You have no idea. You could sit next to a person who's thinking about, in your situation, committing suicide. You could sit next to a veteran who doesn't feel appreciated, who could possibly be one of the 22 a day that commit suicide in this country. And you could be that light for them. And
you can.
So
and people feel despair because they think, well, I don't know how to be happy when everything in my life is bad. That's the big problem. I did this big survey to find out what people's source of pain really was. And they want to be happy. As a matter of fact, when I told someone one time that happiness is a choice, they said, "Oh, I hate when people say that, because don't you think I want to be happy?" And I said, well, of course you want to be happy, but there's a difference between wanting to be happy and choosing to be happy. Sure. And even just making the choice, people say, well, that doesn't help anything. That doesn't help me. I'm so, everything's so bad in my life. But then that last chapter in the book, like I was talking about, it actually is just a formula. It tells you exactly what to do. So you don't have to choose to be happy even. All you have to do is choose to follow that formula, and it just comes. And that's the message that I have for everybody, is to follow that formula, it's like 7 steps, and it's so easy, and it's not even time consuming. And if they would follow that, then I could give that gift of joy that you're talking about. I could give it to everybody, and the whole world would actually just change. Because I always wish everybody, like in emails and things, that when I sign off, I say, wishing you exuberant joy. And I do that because if everybody in the world were happy, if everybody lived in joy and love, then there would be no room for anger and fear and hatred and darkness and wars and everything. It would literally cure the world.
Yeah. Well, you're always, like I said, though, unfortunately, you're going to have dark individuals who are going to always exploit. And that's the thing. And talking about dark individuals, you actually met a very dark individual personally, correct? Or bumped into him? How did this happen?
Oh, let me tell you this story. This is proof that I had somebody watching over me.
Yeah.
So picture this young girl. She's 20 years old. She just got married. And one afternoon, her and her husband have a little spat. So she goes for a walk down the street to think about it. And as she's walking down the sidewalk, she comes upon a little schoolyard, surrounded by a chain link fence. And she sees a swing set there facing the road. And she says, I think that'd be a great place for me to sit and brood and think of all the reasons why I'm right and my husband is wrong. And so I went inside the schoolyard and I sat down on that swing on the other side of the chain link fence. And while I was sitting there, a man drove up in a pretty little yellow car, a little Volkswagen. And he got out of the car and he came to the chain link fence and he asked me if I wanted to go for a ride with him. And of course, now I may have been mad at my husband. I was just newly married and I was very much in love with my husband. I had no intentions of going for a ride with this man. So I turned him down and he seemed really upset by that. So he asked me again, come on, just go for a short ride. And I turned him politely down again. And he stood there for a few moments with his hands crossed over the top of that chain link fence looking at me. And finally, he just shook his head, he got in his car, and he drove away. Now, I had no idea who this man was at first. But I found out a few years later when he was arrested and he was on TV. And I realized that let me just tell you his name first. His name was Ted Bundy. And had I not decided to go inside that schoolyard and sit on that chain link fence, had I just still been walking down the sidewalk, I have a feeling that I wouldn't be here today. But I think the thought of him trying to get me over that chain link fence is the only thing that deterred him.
Wow. Well, I mean, that in itself was an eye-opener. The fact that it's, wow.
So, I didn't know who he was at first. It was when I saw him on TV, and I said, oh my gosh, that's that man that stopped and asked me to go for a ride that I told you about, And I thought, oh my Lord, how lucky am I?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost, yeah, I mean, it's, wow. I can't imagine that feeling. I mean, that's akin to you sitting there watching an airplane come straight at you as it crashes. I mean, that's the way I would look at it. The imagery of that is it just misses you.
And it just misses you.
And it just misses you. But yet you see, or when you see an accident and you're like, oh my God, that was horrific. And that feeling, that's insane. I can't, that's enough to send chills down my spine. But,
yep, and I think maybe, like we said, it was one of those dark forces sent to get me.
To silence you.
But
sure.
I was intervened.
Sure. And with that, we'll take another break and we'll come back. And we're talking with McCartney Green as she just told us her experience, her fortunate but very unfortunate meeting with Ted Bundy. It's amazing if he can't get into your heart and put that evil inside you. he will definitely send one of his minions. I'm a firm believer in that. So you're listening to the Midnight Ocean radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. Join us here on the web at www.themidnightocean.com.
This is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network.
That song is actually called Eternity by Kevin MacLeod. For those that don't know, Kevin actually wrote our theme song for our radio show, our podcast, our main one. And it's a great song, and we'll play it here in a little bit for you guys at one of the breaks. But the other thing too is that there's a song that's near and dear to my heart by Ed Roman, who is 2016 Indie Artist of the Year nominee, and it's called Be Love. So it's kind of a competition. They're both great songs. Love them both. But I will have to say the whole theme of Be Love is a very powerful statement and everything. And out there in the chat room, I want to tell everybody, Clovis, thanks for joining us. Sentinel, of course, always my friend. It's great to have you guys. And I know that Clovis, you've got an early morning radio show that you do. So I really appreciate the fact that you're staying up late to join us. So McCartney, you have sent a gift. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's get it done. You've sent a very special gift.
I did.
For our listeners. So let me paste that, and if you guys are in the chat room and everything, I just pasted the link there in the chat room. The other thing that I will do is we will put it up at the same time. We are putting it up in the Midnight Listener. So if you are a member of the Midnight Listeners, you are also going to see it appear there as well. And we just, there you go. It is posted. So do you want to tell what the free gift is, or?
Sure.
Or do you want them to go figure it out for themselves?
Well, I don't want to mess up the surprise, but it's just something I wrote for your listeners that will absolutely bring them joy. But it's 7 easy steps to jumpstarting your psychic abilities. And I thought your listeners are very open-minded and would probably love something like this. And really, it's a lot of the steps that you can use to spiritually connect, that I use to spiritually connect. And I don't know who, everyone is psychic. They just haven't developed their abilities yet. But once you connect spiritually and follow these little keys, it can really jumpstart you to experience some amazing things. Some people, can begin having dreams. Some people may have little synchronicities happen to them, or just something comes into their mind, and that's the beginning, and then you begin to hone it. And there's a delicious side effect to jumpstarting your psychic abilities, and that delicious side effect is always joy. And there's a delicious side effect to joy, and that side effect is becoming a manifesting magnet where you draw all your heart's desires to you, because you can't do that unless you are living in joy.
Yeah.
It's a circle.
No, I agree. I mean, I had a really good friend, and this guy, I mean, when you look at him and you think of he's suffering debilitating MS. And he was doing really well with the medicine that they had him on. But then, of course, Obamacare came along and they said, well, you can't take that medicine. It's too expensive. So they gave him another medicine. And now he's to the point to where they had to sell the house because he couldn't have stairs and all this stuff. And then on top of that, he has a son who is mentally challenged. We used to, call him, well, he has Down syndrome. Mm-hmm. And his son, and so this is a guy who you would think would be miserable. You think that he would be completely, oh, woe is me. Mm-hmm. Craig is one of the greatest human beings you will ever in your life. I aspire to be Craig, because he is, instead of sitting around and waiting for the inevitable, right, what most people would do, he's out there, he volunteers his time at the shelter. This man who has MS would go out and shovel people's driveways, strangers. He went out and bought a plow and put it on his truck just to plow people. This is when we lived up in Chicago, so just to plow his neighbors' yards. And he wouldn't charge for it. He would just do it just to do it. He was joy. He would bring joy to people. He was always just, well, he is. He's just an incredible guy. And he was my kind of like the guy that we always aspired to be. Even the most grungeon Marine Corps guy I know, this guy is like, he will look at Eric and Eric just brings a smile on his face. I mean, this guy is the guy that would, you walk by him and you'd say, hey, have a great day. He would be like, oh, you know what kind of day I'm going to have, you know, blah, 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 blah. And this guy is just, and he's just, he's a soldier and he's a warrior and he's just wired that way, or he was wired that way. But when Craig would walk in the room, my buddy would just like completely, change. And joy is infectious. Mm-hmm. When you are jolly, when you are happy, when you are, there's one of the words, so we're getting up there. But when you are joyful, it is, in fact, think of Santa Claus, even though he's an enigma, right? Or he's fantasy, but he's all about joy. He's all the jolly green elf, right? And his red suit.
He's a joyful story.
Yeah. And it brings, I think that's why Christmas is such a great time of year, because if you think about it, we are at joy for the most part. For the most part. We do have issues that we need to address. We got a huge homeless population and kids that don't eat in this country and everything. But for the most part, we are, as a nation, we are at joy. And as a world, we're at joy, because Christmas is one of those holidays that's celebrated all over the world. Mm-hmm. And you do feel a difference.
You do. People are making more, during that time, people make more of an effort to be loving and kind and giving to others. And that loving and kindness and compassion equates to joy. Yep. Anytime you're in service, it's going to spread joy.
That's right.
Not only for the people you're doing it for, but for yourself.
Sure. Now, I don't want to give away because they need to go out and buy your book.
Absolutely.
I tell people, it's like, look, I'm not doing your homework for you. There is a certain amount of personal responsibility that you can't take your hands off the steering wheel. You still have to drive the car. And so, but without giving too much away, what are the basic steps or the basic tenets of bringing joy or finding joy in one's life?
Well, without giving too much away, I don't mind giving some things away, because I want everyone to live in joy.
Then
regardless. That's my thing. I just want them to be in joy. There's so much more to the book than that, and there's so many beautiful hidden nuggets of wisdom in them that I can't share the whole thing with you anyway. But there is a process. I'm trying to get to it here so I can not leave anything out here. Sure. Okay. So there's a few steps. And I actually gave a talk at Toastmasters one time, and I called it Joy for No Reason. And I gave 3 basic keys. And there's actually more than that, but there's 3 that are really, really important. And the first of those really important keys is we've already talked about it. It's called letting go. Everybody holds on to life with a tight fist, trying to control the outcome of everything. You try to control the outcome of everything that you do, everything your family does, even your friends, or even perfect strangers. You want to control, like, who they vote for. You want to control what everyone else does. Everybody needs to let go of trying to control the outcome of every situation. That doesn't mean that we don't try our hardest and give it our best effort and do everything we can. But once we've done everything that we can possibly do, then we have to let go. Let go of the situation. And like you said, let go and let God. Just let go and stop trying to control it all. Because if you try to control the world and you know that's not possible, it's only going to make you unhappy. So the other thing to let go of is your past. Learn from it, love it, be grateful for it, but you have to let go of the past and live in the now. So letting go is a big deal. And then this is an important one. If you've probably heard me say a few times tonight, I said I pulled light, Pulled, pulled light. Pulling light is like, and I'm sure lots of people have heard of doing a light meditation, where you sit and you do a meditation and you imagine light coming through the top of your head and through your whole body. And it's a beautiful, wonderful thing. But most people, the masses of people, won't sit and do a light meditation. But pulling light is a 2-second thing. Just try it with me for just a minute. Just imagine, people, it doesn't have to be that it came from the heavens or anything else. Light is light. Light is lack of darkness. So you just see a whoosh of light just come through your whole body, just whoosh, 2 seconds. And that's pulling light. And I always add a shield afterwards. So, boom, I've just pulled light and I've put a shield around my body. And the first time I did that, I didn't feel anything. And the first 50 times I did it, I didn't feel anything. But after, and I would just do it whenever I got the notion or thought about it. Oh, let me pull some light. Or if I was walking down the street and I saw a shady character walking towards me, let me pull some light. After about 2 weeks of pulling light, I began to actually physically feel the light moving through my body, because everything is with thought. And thoughts are real. They've even measured them electronically. They are a real energy form. When you visualize light going through your body, it actually is. And after about 2 weeks of doing this, I started to feel my fingers would kind of bend and tighten as if I was being electrocuted. It was very strange. And I could physically feel the light come through my body. And then I was trying to teach a friend how to pull light. And she didn't understand it. And then I took her by the hands and we did it together. And she freaked out. She said, "Oh my gosh, I can feel it." So pulling light is one, if not the most important thing you can do, because it cleanses your body of any dark forces that are trying to work against you. It cleanses your body of any dark thoughts in your mind. Where there's light, there can be no darkness. So that's one of the most important ones.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I was sitting, I closed my eyes when you were talking about pulling light and just visualizing, the sun and the light. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, some people use the sun, some people use starlight, some people use the light of God or the light of Christ. You can do it, you can embellish it all you want, but the main thing is to do it. And that's why I say you can just do it, and it takes literally 2 seconds. Pull light. Whoosh. You can see it going through your body. If you're standing up, see it go out the soles of your feet all the way into the earth's core. If you're sitting down, see it go out the root chakra all the way into the earth's core. But just whoosh, you just do it. And you can do it 100 times a day. But, you're not, if I said, Jeff, every day you need to sit down twice a day and do a 15-minute light meditation, it's probably not going to get done.
Yeah.
But if I say, pull light whenever you think about it, that will get done. And if everybody in the world were pulling light, I can't even tell you what a huge difference that will make.
Well, this is really bizarre, because this is what I'm going to do. Because I told you, I have about 2 to 3 times a week where I have these weighted presents that are in my sleep, that weigh me down.
Mm-hmm.
That where they're pinning you down to the bed like an evil,
yes.
demonic. That happens to me about 2 or 3 times a week. And the way I do it is I usually invoke Jesus' name and
Mm-hmm.
and say, you ain't got jack on me, because I got the big guy over here and he's fixing to whoop. That's kind of the conversations that I have in my thing. But I'm gonna pull light, and I'm gonna see. Because see, the way I look at it is that when I destroy that entity or that attack, that's one less that's out there, kind of thing. And I know that's really sounds bizarre to a lot of people, but I'm not. I've gotten to the point that I'm so accustomed to it, and I just get rid of it. That the way I look at it, it's kind of like you're getting rid of one or another, and it's one less that the rest of the world has to be exposed to. So I'm going to try your pull light though, and
Yeah,
see.
pull light, and there's never. I mean, there's always good to call on the name of Jesus, always, because he's nothing but love and light
Yeah.
and compassion.
Yeah.
So call his name.
Oh, absolutely.
But pulling light, and I sometimes, like I say, if I'm walking down the street and I see a shady character walking towards me, I'll pull light, and I'll end with a shield around me, like a clear bubble, of protection.
Mm-hmm.
That comes right after the light, just like a bum light shield, and I just leave it, and it won't stay, because as your emotions change, as you go throughout your day, as you go up and down throughout your day, it will diminish, but that's okay, because it only takes 2 seconds to re-erect it.
Yeah, to charge it up. It's
it
like
up.
Zelda, little hearts in Zelda, video game reference. You just recharge. It's no big deal.
That's right.
Capture a couple more hearts, and then there you go.
Did you ever see the movie The Incredibles?
Yes.
The
Oh,
little
absolutely.
cartoon movie? The little girl she does a bubble shield around her.
Yeah.
That's perfect what I envision.
Gotcha.
It's really cool. Yeah.
So we pull light. So we let go.
Let
and
go.
now we pull light.
Mhm.
What's step number 3?
All right. Well, we have to spiritually align. We have to spiritually align by raising our vibration. And raising your vibration can be difficult when you're sad or upset or depressed or worried or stressed, especially if you're stressed over your children. It's just a hard thing to do, to raise your vibration. But there's one thing. I mean, really, it's all about vibration. Everybody, everything vibrates. Even a rock vibrates. It's just vibrating at a very slow rate. And like a tree vibrates a little faster, a little puppy vibrates a little faster, and people vibrate too. And you can look around and tell what people are vibrating. You can look at someone that's frowning or sad or mad, and you know that they're vibrating at a very low rate. The higher you can vibrate, the closer you are to aligning your vibration with God's vibration. And that's where you get your high perspective. So we have to raise our vibration so that we can begin to align with God's vibration, so that we can have that higher perspective and make those troubles melt away. And one of the best things you can do to raise your vibration almost instantly is to think of something that you're grateful for. Gratitude is one of the highest vibrations that there is. If you'll think for just a moment, if all your listeners will think for just a moment about something or someone that you're really, really grateful for. I mean, that you are just so very thankful for, or something. And think about how grateful you are for that person or for that thing. Just think about, oh, I'm so grateful. And then realize that while you were thinking about how grateful you were for that, you felt no anger, you felt no hatred, you felt no jealousy, you felt no fear. You felt nothing but gratitude. And that gratitude is one of the highest vibrations that you can have. So if you ever want to change what you're feeling, immediately begin to think of something you're grateful for, which makes you start looking for things to be grateful for, no matter what your situation. If I was trying to think of someone in one of my books was talking about, they were nervous about meeting somebody's parents, and they said, well, maybe you won't have to meet them if the plane crashes. Yeah, and then if the plane crashes, well, then at least it doesn't have to be a funeral, because I'll probably get eaten by sharks. And they were jokingly thinking of, a good way to look at things. But really and truly, in every situation, you can find something to be grateful for. And once you do that, then your vibration will really begin to raise. Once you raise that vibration and can see things from a higher perspective, the things that normally hurt you don't hurt you anymore. Even bad things. Even people suffering from PTSD. Some of the really bad things, once you see it from a higher perspective and begin to align spiritually, those things just melt away. And then I pray and I meditate. And my prayer is not one of asking for things. My prayer is pretty much an extension of gratitude and for my life, and maybe asking for guidance in what I can do to help others. And then my meditation is really important, because my meditation is quieting my mind. So many people pray and ask God for answers, and then they don't listen. And you have to quiet your mind long enough to listen.
Yeah.
So once you do that, then all of a sudden things start to flow into your mind, and then the little synchronicities start happening. If you pay attention, you'll begin to realize that, just as I said this certain thing that I've been dealing with, and I thought, okay, I think I've made the right decision, and I said this, a shooting star went across the sky. Oh, that was just a coincidence. No, that was a synchronicity. Just the other day, I was walking along, and I said, I was feeling disconnected, and I said, "Are you there?" And he said, "As always, I am here." And I said, "Sometimes I just need a sign, but oh, wait a minute, the Bible says we're not supposed to ask for signs." And the answer came immediately, that is a fallacy. We want you to see the signs. We give everyone signs every day that we're here and that they're not alone. Look for the signs. They're there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of the big, it's crazy, but I said when people go, because you always get people that want to challenge you, right? The atheists
Right.
out there and stuff, or whoever, and they go, "Well, how do you know there's a God?" And I'll grab a piece of grass and hand it to them. Say, "Why don't you have your scientists reproduce this?"
Exactly.
A piece of grass. Go ahead, try. And they can't. They can't. So that tells me that those are those "I'm here" moments. Those
Yeah.
moments of, I share this experience because you have to be open. You have to be, part of it is like what you said, because they're around you. The problem, if you're wallowing it, in the mud with the pigs, or you're wallowing in your self-pity, you don't see it. You
Right.
miss the opportunity to experience messages. Because you're too, it's kind of like UFO. It's funny. I got a lot of friends who don't believe in UFOs, and they're like, "Well, if UFOs were here and stuff, why don't we see them in the sky?" And I'm like, "Well, how often do you spend looking at the sky?" And they'll sit there and go, "Why? I don't look at the sky." It's like, well, then how do you expect to see them? Because that's where they're at. They're not driving down the street. I mean, they're in the sky. Why don't you spend more time looking up, and maybe you might see more of them? And it's amazing because there's certain things it's that whole you can't let go of the wheel. There's certain things you have to do. You have to participate.
That's right.
And
That was one of the, really what you said there, that was one of the things that Eric says right in the beginning of the book. Let me see if I can find his quote.
well, why don't we hold that, because I hear the music queuing up.
Oh, okay.
Yep, we got music queuing up, and we're at the bottom of the hour. So
That went fast.
yeah, I'm telling you, it's amazing. Everybody goes, "I can't do 4 hours." It's like, yeah, you can. Trust me. Trust me, you can. So we will take a quick break. When we get back, we're gonna listen some more advice from Eric, a heavenly visitor to our guest, McCartney Green, and he can be a visitor to you. All you have to do is purchase McCartney's books and listen to what he has to say. It's amazing stuff. It's good stuff. But you're listening to it here on the Midnight Ocean Radio Show and Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. We're going to take a quick 4-minute break. When we get back, we're going to listen to more what Eric has to say. Be love. Remember that. Be love always.
This is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network. This is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network.
That is right, Andrew. This is the Midnight Ocean Radio Show and a podcast on the Paranormal State Radio Network. And more information about that coming in the next couple of weeks. we are putting together a radio-like format for paranormal shows, various paranormal shows. Not just my show, but other shows. We're going to be putting together a network, and they're going to be feeding off of our satellite feeds. And yes, you guys, give you guys a little bit of information. You have heard it correctly. We are in the process of negotiating a syndication package. We have a company that we're working with, and we will release those press releases here soon enough, but not really a negotiation. It's pretty simple, and it's awesome. It's actually very refreshing that we are working together to get this show out. And one of the things too is that if you guys are listening and you have a late night radio station, an independent late night radio station, and what I mean is one that's not owned by Premiere or Cumulus or any one of those guys, because they won't look at us. They got their own programming. But if you have a mom and pop AM or FM radio station out there, we have a very aggressive campaign for them. Basically, the way we work, they keep all of their advertising revenues off of our show. We don't share in that. We don't do that. They can refeed. They can podcast. They can do whatever they want to with our show. And during the 4-minute breaks at the bottom of the top of the hour, that is all theirs. So if you know of a radio station or have friends that are in a radio station or whatever, let them know that we're out here, and we are, and we can deliver our show to them through XDS and have them contact us. But that's enough self promotion. Before we run out of time, I wanted to bring back McCartney. McCartney, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. Before I forgot one thing. For all of those listeners out there, we have a new Skype line that you guys can do. So if you go to Skype and you go TMO listener, that's TMO space listener, you can join us on the Skype line and you can ask questions or whatever of myself or Miss McCartney, and we will try to answer them to the best of our ability. And if we can't answer them, we will definitely follow up with you. So enough of that. Let's get back to, so Eric, you were saying Eric has some more advice for us.
Well, yes, it is something you said reminded me of something that he said. And I'm just going to read this quote real quick. He says, I cannot make you think the right way. I cannot give you the right thoughts or the vibrational alignment you desire. I can lead you there through example, through love and compassion. I can show you the way and offer a little on-site coaching, but I cannot give it to you. You must walk there yourself. If I carry you, when it comes time to stand on your own, your legs will be too weak to hold you up. Like a bird breaking out of his shell, the journey to the goal is important.
Wow. I get it. I got it. Message delivered.
And that's one of those things where I said, ooh, I wrote that?
Yeah, do you find yourself doing that when you write something and then you come back and you read it and you're like, I didn't write that. Who wrote that?
I do. When it's good, I go, oh, I wrote that?
Oh. Yeah, what possessed me? What was taking me over? That's one thing I'm trying to do a little bit more, is more writing with the, like with the blogs as a follow up and everything. It's just, excuse it. I'm not gonna. There's no excuse. I need to do it. I need to do more of it, because I think writing is a lost art, and I think as more and more, how do I say, we're a media. We're a video kind of society.
Yeah.
But the problem is writing is history. You are documenting a specific point in time in which those words were put down on paper. And the fact that we're losing that in today's day and age, I think is very sad. But what am I doing to preserve that? I'm not doing anything, so that's why I need to start writing more. and start putting thought down on on paper. And
Yeah, you should,
getting
and
my thoughts
it's
out.
a good way to have that inspiration flow through you,
Hmm.
especially if you write in longhand,
Yeah.
instead of on your computer,
Yeah.
which is a really hard thing to do. But when I'm writing sometimes a speech, I'll write it in longhand
Yeah.
and let the inspiration just flow.
Yeah, when I do my blog posts, after a show, like I said, I'm trying to do that. It doesn't. How do I say this? It doesn't take me long to do it. It's just doing it.
Hmm.
That's the problem. Sitting down and doing it. There's so many distractions during the day. That's why I love doing the show at night. My phones don't ring. I don't have distractions. There's nothing good on TV. Not that I watch a whole lot of TV, anyways. Now,
Right.
all the distractions are gone. I mean, it's awesome. I love doing this show late night because my days and my mornings are filled with spending time with Sandy in the morning, having breakfast out, out on the patio, and then catching a few hours of sleep, and then afternoon get ready for the show, and then evening eat dinner with Sandy, go swimming, do whatever, and then do the show. And there's not a whole lot of time. I will tell you, I have to watch King of Queens. That's for some stupid reason.
But
I used
that
to.
sounds like a beautiful life you're describing there.
Yeah, I mean that's well. Well, okay. Let's full disclosure. When I get off the show, like last night, I watched Talladega Nights. When I got off the show,
Okay.
because I told people I was going to do it. So Talladega, that's usually when I watch my stupid shows. Is after I do the radio show at 2 a.m. I'll watch Alien Adventures or Alien Mysteries or something like that, and for an hour or two, and then. But yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I need to start writing. I have to start. I know I need to. I got to stop talking about it. I just need to do it, right? So
Yeah, if it brings you joy. If you just dread doing it, then no, you shouldn't do it.
no, it brings me
But
joy. It's just how do I say that? There's so many distractions. I sit down to do it, and then all of a sudden the phone rings, or all of a sudden, oh, I got to send out 20 emails to guests or whatever. So there's a ton of, but they're all self-made. I'm not make they're all self-made distractions. They're not. There's one of the but they're not valid. They're just excuses, and and you know what they say about excuses. So so with that, so what's in the future? What are you doing? What are you doing in the future? What do you got going on?
I am just starting to write another book um, that I feel I'm being called to write.
Hmm.
Uh, like I said, I think I said earlier that I did a survey of people's main points in their life, the things that bother them the most, and those things were finances was number one, health was number two, and relationships. And I sort of kind of squeeze those all in. Some of it was husband-wife relationships or parent-child relationships, those kinds of things, boyfriend-girlfriend. But anyway, those were the three things, and I got to thinking about uh, what I can do or what I'm supposed to do to help people with this situation. And I don't know how much you are into or have heard about the law of attraction. When it came out, the big movie, The Secret, and the book, The Secret,
Hmm.
came out.
Hmm.
And, a lot of people feel like that's just a bunch of bunk. And they feel like, well, the law of attraction doesn't work for me, so I don't want to hear about it. And I realized that the law of attraction gurus, and they are really good at what they do. And but they don't give you the full story, and they also have it backwards. And that sounds like I'm being very uppity, and I don't mean it that way because I love them. My hat's off to them. There's certain ones that are my absolute favorites. But one of the full stories they don't give you is something we've already talked about, and that there is a dark side. They tell you that there's not, that the only thing that you attract to yourself is, the only thing that bad happens to you is something you attracted yourself, which is not necessarily true. But they're not lying to you. They were just protecting you because, like you also said, we don't need to focus on the dark. We always should focus on the light. You never focus on the problem, you always focus on the solution.
Yep.
So the more that they don't talk about those dark forces, then it helps you to concentrate only on good things and happy things.
Yep.
And so that's why they do that. But it has to be told, the full story has to be told, and it has to be told where it's not backwards anymore. You know, they say, think of something you really want in your life, and then surround it with positive thoughts, get rid of all the blocks, and you can make it come to you. And the people who are good at that can, but most people can't. But I've been directed to give them the full disclosure and show them how they can make the law of attraction work for them in their life. And that's what I'm working on right now.
Gotcha.
And I'm doing the same thing. I'm not writing unless the words flow through me. You know, I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't want it to come from me.
Yeah, I remember reading The Secret and then watching. There was a documentary that was put out along the same lines, and watching that on Netflix or whatever. And yeah, I mean, I believe it. You put positive into the world, and you think about it, you think about it, you think about it. But see, I think a lot of that has to do with action. I think everything's there. You know, like with me, I want to learn how to fly a plane. Well, an airplane instructor is not going to come to my house and say, "Hey, we're here to pick you up and take you to fly a plane." You got to go to
Right.
the airport, right?
You
And
have
then-
to take those baby steps. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to learn how to sail. So I went down to the marinas in Chicago and walked up and down the marinas and said, "Hey, look, I'll scrub your boat, clean your boat, do whatever you want me to do on your boat. Teach me how to sail." And lo and behold, I got the crew on a great boat. And then from there, grew. I mean, so you got to take action. And
Right.
I remember there was an Angelina Jolie movie out, and she was portraying a well-known model at the time, and unfortunately her life was a train wreck, but there was a photographer there, one of her mentors, as she was ending her, basically getting to the end of her life, and he told her, he said, "Look," he said, "life, you're supposed to live it. That's the gift that God gives you." And so, because we get so caught up in the mundane, and I've always told people, I've done a lot in my life. And if you listen to the show, you'll know that. I've done a lot because I am a guy, if I want to do something, I will move heaven and earth to do it. If that's jumping out of an airplane, learning how to parachute, or bungee jumping, or climbing a mountain, or living in the woods, or paddling down, the Ocoee, or whatever it may be. If I want to do, I'm the type of guy that when I see something on TV that I want to do, I will do it. I haven't gone. I want to go visit the pyramids in Egypt. I haven't done that yet because I don't want to put my family at risk, because there's no way that I'm going to go there unless Sandy goes with me. But right now it's probably not a good time to be an American over there. So so there are some things I'll have to just shelve. But I've always said the last thing I ever want to have happen when I'm sitting in my deathbed is I'm sitting there wishing I did something. Now, I have one regret in my whole entire life, and the one regret is I never served my country. I never put on my country's uniform. I should have done it. I had the opportunity to do it, and I didn't do it. And for that, I regret. But hey, that doesn't mean I can't serve in other regards, and I do that through community service and things like that. I mean, but that's the only regret. But yeah, I mean, but like what you're saying, it is so important. You got to take the wheel. You got to get yourself going in that direction.
You have to. And it doesn't have to be a huge thing. Some people say, well, how can I? It just has to be a small step.
Yeah.
Like the step that I took, that I just went to that business and perused its website.
Yeah.
was just a small step.
Yeah.
But I did it with a good attitude. I didn't say, "Oh man, these people ask for too much money and I can't afford it and this sucks." That wasn't my attitude. My attitude was, "Oh well, there's lots of good free information here. I should soak that up."
Yeah.
And
All
I
you
took
got to do
that
is
baby
ask.
step.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think that's the problem that most of us have. We're afraid to ask. We're afraid to. There's the by the way, but we're afraid to just expose ourselves because we're afraid of rejection or someone saying no. But my attitude is, what do you got to lose? You didn't have anything coming into the conversation, so 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 why don't you take a risk here and ask for something, and maybe you might get something out of the end of the conversation.
You never know.
You never know.
I've already exposed myself to everybody. I'm now a crazy lady. That crazy lady who talks about seeing people. So I don't have anything else to lose. I might as well just put it out there.
Yeah, but I don't. Okay, whatever. I mean, my thing. Look, this is my experience. I've been doing this, and I've been following the paranormal, even though I haven't been doing a radio show. I mean, I started back in the day with Art Bell when I was in college, working at the hospital. Look, I know doctors, I know lawyers, I know pilots, I know politicians, I know scientists, I know school teachers, I know everybody from every walk of life. If you pull them away from everybody else and you ask them, have they ever had an experience? 80% of them right off the bat will say yes, and then you'll have the other 20% that will snicker about it and say, well, blah, blah. Well, at one time I remembered when my
Right.
grandmother died and I felt like she was with me for a couple of weeks or something. It's like, okay, well, there you go. All right. I mean, yeah,
Exactly. I mean, so much more is going on
Yeah.
behind the scenes, much more behind the scenes than we can, see in front of
Yeah.
us.
Well, but if you're close, like I said, if you're that individual that sits around and says, I don't believe in UFOs, and he's like, well, how often do you look up in the sky? Well, I don't. Well, okay. Where do you think these things are? Are they in the sky? Well, okay. Well, maybe you need to spend more time looking up. And when you look up long enough, that's one of the things that we do here. Well, we can't do it now because the boat got nailed in the hurricane. We got to redo the boat, but we were going to take charters out into the Gulf, about 100 miles into the Gulf, and give people infrared night vision cameras and say, look up.
Cool.
Yeah, look up. And you, when you're done with this trip, you tell me if you believe in UFOs or not. I'm not going to, here's your goggles. Look up. That's all you got to do. And you tell me what you see.
Exactly.
And that's because that we get so, I don't know, and these believers that don't believe that we're living in a very special world that was created for us. Like I said, grab a piece of just one single blade of grass,
Right.
and stare at it for a while, and you try to figure out how it was made. I mean, our smartest scientists, the geniuses of the geniuses, can't even come close. They can now. What they can do is take a miracle and they can recombine it with another miracle, and create another life. But they didn't create the life to begin with.
Right.
That's all they can do.
And what you just said, you reminded me of the people who believe in science. How do you believe in God? That reminds me of part of my experience when I started writing this book. During that conversation when I was walking the dogs, once they said that I needed to write this book, and once I said, okay, I think I understand, my mind immediately raced to what I would write, and it came up with a scene of Eric being interviewed by someone, and they would say, Master Kino, do you believe in God? And he'd say, yes, of course I do. And they would say, well, how can a man of science, being a man of science, how can you believe in God? And his answer was, well, being a man of science, how can I not?
Yeah.
And then the cool thing was, I got home And my husband said, how was your walk? And I said, oh, it was really interesting. Wait till I tell you about it. But he said, I just sent you something on Facebook, a Facebook message. He said, it was just a little video. I thought you might be interested in it. You should go pull it up. So I went and pulled it up, and my jaw just dropped because the title of the video was Scientists Prove God Exists. And at the 33-second mark, the man says almost the exact same thing I said in that interview in my mind, which was, how can I not? And it just blew me away. And that synchronicity, told me that the whole conversation that I just had while I was walking the dogs was real. Yeah. That this is really happening, and we've sent you this sign to let you know, to sit up, pay attention, that this is really happening. Yeah. So you just reminded me of that part of the story when you were talking about scientists and God.
So, yeah, I love my scientist friends who want to dispel everything, and there's logic in yeah, absolutely. There's logic in science. I mean, there is but who but once again, who gives you that ability? Who gave you? Why are you a better scientist than that other person? Why do you have that gift to understand this knowledge where other people don't? If science is the ruler of everything, then why don't we all we all know how to speak English? Why is it that it's easier for you, the scientist, to understand these concepts versus me? It's because that's the gift that you were given, and you got to understand it.
And they don't even understand it all.
No, they have no clue. I mean, I had Walt Thornhill on here the other day, and the scientists were talking about the Big Bang Theory, and I could never understand how you could have this massive universe created out of nothing. That's against the first law of physics. You can't make nothing something out of nothing.
Something out of nothing. That's right.
That's right. And so I had Walt Thornhill on, and he talked about that. He talked about the lightning bolts of the gods, and his theory made perfect sense. I had 3 or 5 eagles on here talking about Planet X and Nibiru, and to me, that makes perfect sense.
Absolutely.
That makes perfect sense.
Those things are all real. They're all real.
Yeah.
And God himself, actually, he is scientific. Yeah. He just knows a lot more than we do.
Well, I don't, you know what, to be honest with you, in the Bible, he really doesn't there's a lot of layers within the Bible, and you have to peel them back, and you have to actually be learned to understand them, each layer. But the reality of it is that he doesn't. I guess my thing is, I equate it to this. I have atheist friends, right? That go, I'm an atheist. It's like, how can you not believe in something you don't believe in? Answer me that. Right. How can you sit there and say, I don't believe in God, but you just acknowledge God by saying you don't believe in a God? If something doesn't exist, it's not in your vocabulary. It can't be in your vocabulary. So maybe the question is that you don't believe in what God teaches, or what God, what God, and okay, but you can't not believe in something you don't believe in. So that always throws them for a loop. But the same thing with science and everything is that. It's, I don't know. It drives me nuts, but it teacher, and then the little voice kicks in my head and says, "Don't worry about them. Just worry about yourself. I'll take care of them." That's usually what happens when I have those kind of conversations. That voice, when I start getting in these arguments with my atheist friends or whatever, that's usually how and I'll stop abruptly and I'll just move on. Because that voice kicks in. You'll know when you're talking to me, you know when that voice kicks in, because I completely, like a race car, I completely go the opposite direction in the conversation.
So you just have to let it go, right?
Yeah. God clearly sends me the message. That ain't your concern. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Move on. Move up next. Next
All right.
next question. And talk about next question. You know, we just blew through another segment.
Wow.
Can you stay for another 30 minutes?
Sure.
All right. Awesome. So we are talking with McCartney Green on the Midnight Ocean Radio Show and podcast. When we get back, there'll be a last segment. We'll wrap it up and everything. I hope you guys are enjoying the conversation as much as I am. But this is the Midnight Ocean, and I am your host, Jeff Norton.
This is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network.
That is right. That was Ed Roman. He's a guest. He'll be on the show, I believe, on the 30th, as he gets ready to go to the big Murfreesboro, Tennessee, to the Indie Artist of the Year ceremony, Indie Artist ceremony. I think he's nominated this year. He was nominated he won last year, 2015, and he's also nominated again this year. So we'll be catching up with him at the end of the month. But that song is off his Red Omen album, and it's called I Am Love. And for those that listen to this show quite a bit, you know that is our theme song. That's right. That is our entry, our opener song. We also have one that we use from Kevin MacLeod. We kind of mix those two up, but that song is so appropriate. And I just wanted to play that for you, McCartney, because I felt there's a reason why that is our theme song, and it goes hand in hand with what we're talking about here tonight.
It's cool. I'm a messenger. I'm a radical. Be love.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that song.
Yeah. It was funny because when he was on the show 2 weeks ago, you can go back to the archive. I think 3 weeks ago, we actually have moved everything over to Spreaker, so it's archived there, and you can listen to it. And we talked about the music industry and everything, but he has extensive paranormal experience, and I promise the next show we could do, we're not gonna, obviously I gotta thank him for the music, but the next show we're gonna talk about those experiences that he has. He lives in an old farmhouse in Canada, and he's seen some Bigfoot and UFO.
Wow.
And so yeah, we're gonna definitely get into that. We very limited time, especially he does his shows on Fridays with us, and of course he's out doing a gig. So he's calling us, and then I think that's his safety net. When we're, that's his safety net. It's like, oh, I gotta go perform. They're calling me on stage. It's kind of like that first date, you're like, you have your buddies.
Out, yeah.
Yeah, you have your buddies call, and everything. So it's funny. What's more important? We all think, as humans, we all think alike. So we have about that 30-minute window. So it's amazing when both of you get the same phone call at the same time, right?
Yes.
Both phones are ringing 30 minutes into the dinner, and everything. So as promised, this is the last segment. So this is all yours. I will sit back. We can talk about your future. I know you said you got a new book. Do you have a title for the new book?
Yeah, it's called When the Law of Attraction Doesn't Work, The Secret They Haven't Told You.
Ah. There you go. You think you're going to be...
I also put out a book that kind of goes along with the one that I just wrote, and it's just the Kino Martial Arts Student Handbook. And it's just a book about living in honor and integrity and living life on purpose rather than on accident. But it's just literally a little handbook about 30 pages.
Gotcha. And so you have that book, and then I know let's talk about your fiction books. I know we kind of delved into them. I know you have a series, right?
Yes, I do. It's Dandelions Never Die, the series, and the first book is actually called Dandelions Never Die. And how they got written is, once he told me to write, and he said, write your story, write love, I started writing, like the story of my life. But as you recall, it wasn't turning out so well. So I didn't like what I was writing. So I decided to change little bits here and there to make it more fun. Mm-hmm. And then I had to change other bits to make it match those bits. And next thing I knew, I was writing pure fiction. And it's like a light went on. I loved it. It was just pure bliss for me. I couldn't stop writing. And I wrote the first one I wrote, Dandelions Never Die, was about a woman who had been sexually assaulted. So obviously I based it loosely on some of my experience. And she meets a martial arts master who is Eric, Grandmaster. At the time, he's only a master, so it's Master Eric Kino. And they fall madly in love. And these are like romance novels, so you know they're going to end happy, and you know there's going to be sex, and you know they're going to fall in love. But inside of all that, so you can rest assured, you know, you don't have to get nervous. But inside of all that, the amazing things that happen and the trauma and the obstacles that she had to overcome, what really surprised me was after that first book, a reader wrote to me and said, "McCartney, I think you are an angel sent to heal people with your words." And that really touched me. And I didn't realize that's what I was doing. I was just doing what he told me to do. But I realized a lot of people started approaching me and telling me that, you know, they had been assaulted and they had had this happen to them and that happened to them. And I made them feel like they can actually overcome it. Even though it was just a fiction book, I made them feel empowered. So the next book after that, Dandelions Never Die, book 2, is called 4 Days. And it's about a little girl who was abused as a child by her mother. She was just, you know, beaten a lot, and she stopped believing in love. But in that one, I talk about her overcoming that fear and learning to trust and love again, and the guy that she falls in love with. And of course, it's a very sweet love story there. But boy, the roller coaster rides, because I didn't want the stories to end, so they would go up and down and around, and the plots were all twisted and crazy. And each one has its own little story, but they all they keep coming back to Grandmaster Eric Kino and of course his new wife and their family, and people began to think of the Kino family as real people. I had people writing me telling me that they're real to them. They're you know, I find myself thinking at odd times, I wonder what the Kinos are doing. And then I realize, oh, wait a minute, these are fictional characters. But those kinds of things made me feel like, okay, I'm on the right road. I know what I'm doing. But as I went along, I realized I had to do more than just fiction. I had to make the change over to nonfiction. But writing those fiction stories, oh my gosh, that they are the most fun. I actually have another one written, not in that series, but it's called The Truth About Angels. But this time it's a fiction story, and it's really fun because this guy that this girl runs into is actually an angel. And it's about what angels really are, and I have it as just a guy that is from another planet, and he's there to help people on the earth. So it's sort of half truth and half fiction on that one, but it's fun to write fiction, because you can invent people and kill them off. You just have you have so much power.
Now. No,
It's like one of the scenes in book number 4. One of the scenes, it's this one is about Eric Kino's grown son. He has a grown son who is a martial arts movie star, and he is captured by an old nemesis, an enemy of the family, and he's being actually tortured. And when I was writing that scene, and my husband came by the room, and he says, "Honey, I'm going to bed. You coming?" And I said, "I can't right now, honey. I'm torturing Ricky." And I left the scene up, and we won't talk about what it's about, but he came out the next day, and he actually sat down at the computer and read the scene. He came back in and woke me up, and he says, "Honey, you're sick."
Yeah. You can't be doing that, yeah.
But it was really lots of fun.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. And see, I do it different. See, I don't write stories. I just dream. I dream. And I set myself up to dream a story, and then I have a blast. I'm like Neo in the Matrix, where I can basically do whatever I want to do when I want to do it and how I want to do it. You know, if I want your head to explode, poof, your head explodes.
Yeah. See, that's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's kind of twisted. let's face it.
But see, well, yes, maybe, but in my books, everything always works out good, and the good guys always win, and there's always light and love, and they overcome these amazing obstacles to find true joy and be successful and joyful.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm kind of
that's
like yeah. I mean, I'm kind of like the Supernet where I bait demons. That's my thing now.
ah,
Is that that's really it's crazy, but
you're a
I did a
warrior.
trip. I did a trip to the Nephilim to the planet X. I hopped in my little spaceship and went there and wondered the other day. But my favorite thing to do is I bait demons. This is people are gonna think you're crazy, but in my dreams I will bait demons, and because they don't have a power over me, and they never will have a power over me, and it's crazy. These demons, they're like little sniveling little rats coming for their little piece of cheese, and I just plow them. I'm sorry, that's twisted, but then maybe I should write
I
a
love
series on that. No, I bait these demons, and they show up, and I dispose of them properly.
Like the hero. See, you're being the hero. You're being a warrior hero.
That's it. That's it. But you know what's really weird? And I had a friend who said you got to be careful because, and he's right. He's like you really because you're going to start tipping the apple cart. This is a guy who's in the mysticism quite a bit, and he's like you're going to start tipping the cart to the point to where they're going to take notice, and you're going to find that they're going to start sending the big dogs after you. And like I said, I get that though. I get that now 2 to 3 times a week. I'll have those repressive, hold you back, but I blow them up too.
Yeah, blow them up and pull light and
Yep,
protect not only yourself but your family and your home and all that.
Yeah, but it is funny. I tell the story. I have a crucifix that was given to me by my grandmother on her casket when she passed, and I got to hang it up, but I don't want to because that's going to be the symbol that they're going to use to let me know that they're here in physical form, not in the metaphysical in the alternative universe, but they're actually physically on this plane.
Yes.
The classic cross turned upside down or something like
Right.
that. And then now we got to get serious. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I got friends. I already, Debbie.
You got friends in high places?
Yeah, I do. I have friends. Debbie Vigay was like, "Hey, let me know. I'm right down the street from you, a couple hours away." She goes, "I'll be up." She wrote the Wicked series, and best-selling New York. But she's also, a lot of people don't know this, but she is a demonologist and exorcist, and that's what she does. Yeah, that's what she does in her spare time.
In her spare time.
In her spare time, yeah, when she's not writing bestsellers and movie scripts, and yeah, she wrote a couple of the not Craft, but what's Charmed. She wrote some scripts for Charmed, and then but she wrote the Wicked series. And
Well, the Wicked is amazing. My first husband that passed away, he absolutely loved those books. Loved them.
Yeah, that's Debbie. Interesting person. Like I said, you might want to take a listen. I kind of draw you and her on the same line, at the same plane, and everything. Yeah.
Well, that's an honor and a compliment.
Yep. Absolutely. So besides you writing you got the one that you're just waiting for the inspiration to come along,
Yes.
and then your series that you got going on. What else is going on with you?
Oh, well, I'll just tell you something what happened today, and that is we lost one of our pets today. My sister lives with us, and she and her daughter have a little poodle, And we have a little mixed Maltese Shih Tzu puppy, but their poodle was a rescue. They had rescued her, and um, they'd only had her a few years. And when they first got her, she couldn't even stand up. She'd been in the cage for so long, and she'd had so many litters. Nobody knew how old she was. But over the last few weeks, she began to deteriorate. Suddenly, she didn't want to walk. I usually walked her, every day, and she suddenly didn't want to walk, and she stopped eating. And anyway, she went through a really hard time these last few weeks, and she finally lost her battle today. They believe she had cancer that just took her out. And so we had a little doggy funeral today in our backyard. My sister and I dug a hole underneath. I have this garden in my backyard that in the center of the garden there is a diamond. Sorry, a diamond. And what usually is there is I have this glass globe that represents the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And then all around that globe I have little metal figures of angels. So it's like angels are surrounding the earth. And then outside of the diamond on each point, I have circles, one that has flowers growing, so that's earth, one that has a bunch of wind chimes, so that's air, one that has a little water feature, so that's water, and one that is a fire pit, so that's fire. Anyway, so I have this little symbolic area in my backyard, and we planted our little Kana girl right underneath the earth to be surrounded by the angels today.
Wow.
So that was sort of what's happening in my life at this moment with that. And we were, we shed some tears, but I knew she was going to pass. I knew it back when she first got sick. I was looked up in the clouds, and there was a perfectly shaped poodle, not just a poodle that you could make out of the clouds, but truly it looked exactly like her with, the eyes, the mouth, everything. Even the cut of the hair was exactly like her, which she wasn't a normal poodle cut. And I saw that in the clouds, and I saw little wings on the shoulders of this little poodle in the clouds, and that told me then to let go a little bit, because she is going to die, and she did. But we're just glad that she's not suffering,
Yeah.
and she's okay now. But that's sort of what we did today. That's why you were going to ask me for a charity. I was going to say that Fayette County Animal Hospital, they
Okay.
did a lot of things for her for free because they knew that my sister was struggling financially.
All right.
And
So here it is. Well, can you email me their information, and we'll send
I
them.
sure
We'll
can.
send them a check.
I sure can. They were so sweet, so kind,
Yeah.
in making her feel more comfortable.
I know that I know I did it. I caught myself saying or about 5 times.
Uh-huh.
So we'll just round it up and say $25.
Oh. Well, that's very, very sweet.
We'll do that.
They'll love that, and that helps. Every little thing helps.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Send me their
They-
information, and we'll also
I will.
get them on get them on the show, or on the website and stuff. If anybody else wants to donate food, or because I know the biggest thing right now is just food, cat food, dog food, stuff like that. It's just that that's just critical down here. That's what all the shelters are looking for.
Looking for food, yeah.
Food,
I don't
yeah.
think this is a shelter. I think it's just the hospital. But they
No.
were just so kind in
Yeah.
how they did a lot of things, without charging us,
Yeah.
so that.
Yep.
They could
Like I
take
said,
care of her.
send me the information in the email, and I will make sure that check goes out.
I will. So, are you an animal lover?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I get frustrated with them like I do kids.
Yeah.
But I do. Oh, yeah. I didn't do the cat thing. I tried the cat thing, but cats are one of those creatures that you get the ones that are like real cuddly, or you get the ones that don't want anything to do with you. And unfortunately, every
Right.
cat I ever had didn't want anything to do with me.
Right.
Now dogs, they have to come to me because they don't eat if they don't.
Right.
And so no, we have two. It's the funniest thing. We have a Great Pyrenees, and this dog is about 160 pounds. It's a big boy.
Woo. It's
Well, he's a
huge.
Great Pyrenees, and we keep him shaved because of the summer, here in Florida. And then we have a little Maltese Shih Tzu, kind of like what you have, and her name is Sophia, but I call her Muggsy because she's the troublemaker in the house.
Ah.
Buddy, the thing about Great Pyrenees is that they're great guard dogs. That's what they're known for. They're known to like guard the flock kind of dogs. They were used in the French Alps and stuff to herd the sheep or the goats and keep them in line and protect them. There's actually a video of a Great Pyrenees attacking a grizzly bear. I mean, that's these dogs. If you go onto YouTube, just type in Great Pyrenees grizzly bear, and you'll see these dogs. That's what they're known for. They protect the flock. They're very protective, and that's why we got them, because when I was doing my other shows, we'd have idiots who would just show up at our doorstep, and it's crazy. The nuts that would come out.
What?
Well, yeah, with Buddy, you won't get within 50 yards of our house without us knowing about it. And if you get within 25, you're an idiot, because I mean you got to get through my dog. So yeah, but it's so funny though, because he's the protector. But now that he's getting older, he's kind of slowed down a little bit. He's about 6 years old, and those dogs live to about 11 because of their size. They have hip dysplasia issues and joint issues. Well, now Muggsy, as I call her, she's the troublemaker. She's the one now that won't let you within 100 yards of our house, and it's hilarious because she'll bark to get Buddy up, but then once Buddy's up and he's barking or he's locked onto you, she'll back up. Like she's a little troublemaker. She'll start it, but then the minute Buddy gets up and like investigates and he sees what she's barking at, and then he starts barking, she will literally stop and back up and let him finish it. She'll get it started and then she'll let him finish it. So
That sounds kind of like ours. His name is S'mores, and S'mores, he acts all big and bad. If someone knocks on the door or something,
Yeah.
Rawr, and he starts barking. But any loud noise, and my husband calls him Chicken Dog.
Yeah.
Because he runs with his tail tucked so easily.
Well, and that's the thing that my vet told us. He said, you got to be careful because they're considered gentle giants. Great Pyrenees are gentle giants. But if and I tell people this, I was like, look, let us introduce you to him. Even though he's wagging his tail, he's suckering, he's bringing you in. And so you got to be very, very, and that's what my vet said. My vet is like, he will turn on a dime. Where you think that he's all lovey and stuff. Not towards us. He's great with other dogs. We got videos of him playing with Sophia. And it's hilarious to watch this big, huge, massive dog play with her. And, he's swapping her around. And she, but she's like, she goes after him. She likes biting his ears. And so she'll jump up and bite his ears, and he'll hit her with his head and his paws. And it's funny to watch, and they jump around and play with each other until Buddy gets sore, gets tired. But yeah, they're gentle giants, and they're great. He was great with the cats and everything, but yeah, you don't want to be on the receiving end of them, because and they're very, very deceiving. So
You reminded me when you talked about cats. It's a little meme that my granddaughter was telling me the other day. She was reading it off a website, and she said, "Buttercup, listen to this." Oh, that's what my grandchildren call me, Buttercup.
Mm-hmm.
And it said the cat would say, no, the dog, it starts with the dog, sorry. The dog would say, "Oh, look, they're feeding me, they're petting me, they're taking care of me, they must be gods." And the cat says, "Oh, look, they're feeding me, they're petting me, they're taking care of me, I must be a god."
Yeah. Yeah. That's how cats are. you
Yeah.
know. So it's funny. So, well, with that, I have to, we need to wrap up. And it's been a wonderful conversation. An incredible.
Really enjoyable.
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed it myself as well. And I'll get your books posted on your author page and everything. And I will definitely be in touch with you tomorrow. That's
awesome.
Okay. Yeah, I'll shoot out an email to you and please send me that information on the dog, on the clinic.
Oh, I sure will.
So we make that donation and stuff. So, all right. So
Well, thank you so
take care.
much, Jeff.
Yeah,
I have really, really enjoyed it.
Not a problem. I told you could do 4 hours.
Yeah, and I'm old and I'm still awake. Isn't that amazing?
That's what happens when you have a great conversation. You lose track of time and everything.
Well,
so.
if ever I could be of service to you or to any of your listeners, I am just absolutely happy to do it. So, and I mean that. I'm not just saying it. I really do mean it.
Cool.
If I could do anything to help anyone, just let me know.
Cool.
I'm happy to be.
I don't know if get out there and join Midnight Listeners if you can.
How do you do that now?
Yeah, the Midnight Listener group that we have and everything. That way, if anybody needs to reach you, they can do it through there.
Okay, is that on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on Facebook. If you just type
Facebook.
just Midnight Listeners, all one word.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that way
that.
they can reach you through there, and you're not giving out any of your personal stuff or whatever. We moderate
I'm on
it.
Facebook too, so that'd be good.
Yeah, we moderate it pretty tight. We make sure that people stay appropriate, and we have about 5 or 6 moderators that belong to that group, and that's just the way that we tell people to, if they want to reach out to our guests or whatever, do it through there, and then we can, message through there, and then we can make sure that everything's appropriate. So,
Fantastic.
All right.
I'll sure do it.
Well, McCartney, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining us. And
it was my pleasure.
We'll be in touch. We'll definitely be in
Okay.
touch. All right. Bye now.
Bye now.
There you go. McCartney Green and her experiences, her visitations. We're going to take a quick break here. And then when we get back, we will wrap things up.
This is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network.
peaceful music, make you relax as we roll on in to the twilight hours. What a conversation. Thoroughly enjoyed that one. You know, it's funny when we do these shows. Everybody thinks it's going to be an interview. And I tell people, all of our guests, no, it's going to be a conversation. Interview is too informal. And I like the format. But right now, let's you and I talk for a few minutes. We have about 30 minutes. First off, I want to say thank you. We reached our goal. We're at 102 subscribers. So we have crossed over that mark. But let's not give up just yet. We are seeing our numbers increase dramatically. It's incredible. We're getting, on certain videos, we're getting anywhere from 100 to 600 to 700 views a video. And then if you add that up with the audio, with the downloads, the podcasts, downloads, all of those things. So we're getting up there. We're averaging about 200 to 250 to almost 300 listeners a show. We're growing. We're growing. And we're only going to get better. Like I said, we are working with Telos. We're going to get some equipment in here, some gear that's going to kind of level the sound out. We're going to get the mixer I have, which was given to me by my good friend Dan Collins, who for some reason hasn't been on the chat room lately. Hope he's okay. But Dan has graciously given me this soundboard, which is a great soundboard, but it's not a radio soundboard. And there's some features that you get with a radio soundboard, like I can talk to guests, off the air, things of that nature. Tell them, during break we can talk. The other thing is that we can bring in more Skype lines. I think we're going to stay with the Skype versus the phone hybrid system because we find that the Skype is a better audio quality. It is what it is. Technology changes. And so we're gonna start doing that. And with the Skype too, we can also have a phone number. So for those that want to call in or who want to use the older technology, you can do that as well. But we're looking at getting an Axios radio station board, which will be great, outstanding. When you flip the fader up, the lights, it comes on, gives us messages. And the other thing, too, is that we won't have these two systems. Because right now we have a radio system and we have the U2 system. The Axia gives us enough what they call mix minuses. I don't want to get too technical. But it allows us to control both YouTube and the radio on the same, so the audio quality is the same. The other thing is that Telos has an audio processor that will level out all of the sound. So all of these battles that I'm doing where, the music's too loud, I'm too loud, the guest is too loud or too soft or whatever, this processor will level all of those out and make it ready for prime time. So those are some of the things that we are doing, getting ready for syndication. So you guys know, we're looking to get syndicated. We have a syndication network who's very well known in the industry, who is willing to put us on their XDSs, their satellites, so that other radio stations can pick us up. And to even tell you how committed they are, if a station, mom and pop, because a lot of mom and pop don't have XDS receivers. They're expensive. Well, these guys that we're talking to are going to give us receivers. So if we get a radio station, an AM radio station or an FM radio station out in the middle of nowhere, and they don't have an XDS receiver, our syndication partner is, we're going to get a few of those that we can give to those people. They worked out a deal. Obviously, we've got to pay for them, but they're giving those pieces of equipment to us at a discount. So it's only a matter of time before we are on your local AM or FM station. And what we need your help. If you guys have a AM FM station, a local mom and pop station, this is a great opportunity. Our show is family friendly. We don't condone cussing, and we don't, we keep it clean, even though we talk about paranormal things. So what we've done is the way that we structured our ad revenue is that basically the radio station keeps all of their ad revenues. We have hard breaks at 26 and 56 minutes past the hour, bottom of the hour, top of the hour. And so that's 4 minutes at the bottom and at the top that they can do their advertising on. It's all theirs. The other thing too is that we were talking about going 1 minute past. So it's almost, we're giving them 5 minutes or 10 minutes an hour. So that gives them 4 minutes to the top and 1 minute after. Yeah. 10 minutes. It's all theirs. Where our revenue comes in is obviously off the internet stuff. And we allow them to even podcast us. A lot of shows that are in this genre who do these type of shows will not allow them to actually do a podcast, podcast their own station during the time. We don't care. We don't care. There's something that I learned a long time ago with my buddies at the options exchange market in Chicago. Bears and bulls make money, pigs get slaughtered. Word of wisdom. A lot of wisdom in that statement. We're not greedy. Our goal is to get the message out there. We have the internet. We have our niche, and if someone wants to share in that, we are more than willing to share. So like I said, if you know of a radio station or if you know of a network, and it could also be a podcast. You guys, if you're a podcaster who are starting up a network and you want to play our content, it's free. I give you permission 100% to replay our shows on your webpage. Copy them. We don't have any problem with that. Because it's all about getting the message out there. I remember Bill Gates once, they were talking about pirating China, pirating Microsoft software. And Bill Gates said, I don't care as long as they're pirating my software. And that's how I feel about it. So now that we're at 100, the next goal is 500 and then 1,000. That's our next goal. What we're going to do is the 100 subscribers, I'll find out a way. I believe I can find out who they are. I'm going to have a drawing, and I'm going to find out who, and we're going to give a special gift to one of the 100. We'll do something pretty cool. But now we need to go to 500. And it's not that hard. We're getting out there. We're out on iTunes now. We're out on, I think Player FM's picking us up. iTunes, you can now download us at iTunes. We're on Spreaker, which was a big move. We're going to submit to iHeartRadio here in the next couple days. We're on TuneIn, Stitcher. So we're growing. We're growing our feeds out there. And our goal is to bring great late night programming radio shows to everybody. I mean, I see it by the number of hits per day on our website. It's increasing every day. Could we be better? Yeah. Do I wish we can get up there? Yeah, I do. We were so close. We were only 3 away from hitting our all-time high today. So we'll get there. We'll slowly get there. But it's very important that you tell your friends and your family about us. The other thing too is I like constructive criticism. If there's something that we're not doing right, or there's something that you would like to see us change, let us know. Let us know. And the best way to do that is join the Midnight Listeners group or send me a private message. You can join us on Facebook, the Midnight Ocean. I speak to a lot of you via the messenger. I will always speak to you guys. So you can message me and I will respond back to you. I'm sure I'm going to have a couple messages when I get off the show tonight. And I'll respond to them. The other thing too is, follow us on Twitter. We're not going to spam you. The only thing that we're going to tweet out to you is things that have to do with the show and 2 or 3 news stories I think that are relevant to the paranormal. We're getting really, really good feedback from those efforts. People are really enjoying the articles that we're posting up there. And everything. But I want to also, before we wrap up here, once again say thank you to our guest, McCartney Green, for taking the time out of her busy schedule to join us, to have the conversation, for her to show us share with us her experiences. The Ted Bundy thing was incredible. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what it would have been like to know that you possibly could have been one of Ted Bundy's victims? That is insane to think about that. Tomorrow, we're going to have we're all great guests, I want to say. But we're going to guest tomorrow, for you guys that listen to Coast to Coast, we're gonna almost all our guests have been on Coast to Coast, so that's no big deal, right? But R. Scott Lamriel is going to be joining us. We're going to have another one of these great conversations. I can tell you that from the get-go. We've already talked a couple times on the phone, and what's funny is I try not to talk to the guests too much because I want to keep it fresh for you guys. And Scott and I think we probably spoke for like an hour, just shooting the breeze. So he's going to be on the show tomorrow. I look forward to that. So get ready for those postings in the morning. You don't know who Scott is and everything. We'll get those posted up in the morning. A lot of you guys, I know you say we should be posting as soon as possible. Our social media tells us that the best time to post is like from 1 o'clock on. So we'll get those postings out in about those time frames. That's when we have the most eyes, most engagement. So we'll get those out. Like I said, we are working at getting Gerald back on and Sasha back on. Gerald obviously was on Friday. We had to cancel that show because I was in the middle of a hurricane with no power. Sasha, obviously, she was during the hurricane, so we're going to get her back rescheduled into the list. We have a lot of new guests that are coming on in the next couple of weeks, and look forward to it. And we'll be starting to book those up. So, yeah, I got a little bit behind in filling in the calendar here with everything on the website. So we'll start getting those filled in. So with that, I just want to say thank you for all those that have joined, all of those that have listened to the show. May the good Lord keep you safe. And remember, I'm a trained expert. No, I'm not. Don't be messing with no demons. You don't want to mess with those guys. You don't want to poke the bear. Don't want to poke the bear. But if you do decide to poke the bear, just remember this song. It might help you get through it. Remember, be loved.
In a fraction of an inch.
Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network.
Rock and roll with Wolfman Jack. Wolfman Jack. Wolfman Jack. Wolfman Jack.